Chapter 2741. Darkness Ling Xiao had just broken through to the Saint King realm after devouring the vast origin energy in the origin sea, and condensed into the saint tree that contained the light and darkness origins. But as he and Yuan Ling Saintess were in perfect harmony, there seemed to be a mysterious and ancient aura fluctuation between the two. There seemed to be some kind of origin energy blooming in Darkness Ling Xiao's body, causing the surrounding void to resonate. As the vast origin energy poured into Darkness Ling Xiao and Yuan Ling Saintess, their cultivation began to skyrocket again. Rumble. The aura in Darkness Ling Xiao's body rose, and his whole body bloomed with infinite light. Darkness and light intertwined, making his aura more and more mysterious. His cultivation began to break through from the ordinary Saint King realm to the peak Saint King realm. "Husband, are you going to break through to the peak Saint King realm?" Saintess of Light was shocked when she saw the scene in front of her, and said with some disbelief. She could see that Yuan Ling Saintess's body was blooming with ethereal and mysterious light, and there seemed to be a chaotic mist between her eyebrows, containing a mysterious aura that transcended heaven and earth. That kind of aura continued to merge into Darkness Ling Xiao's body, making his cultivation soar rapidly. After Darkness Ling Xiao became a Saint King, his accumulated foundation had been exhausted, and it was not so easy to continue to break through. Even if he directly devoured the origin energy in the origin sea, it would not be possible to break through in a short time. It was the transcendent aura in Yuan Ling Saintess's body that made it possible for Darkness Ling Xiao to continue to break through. Legend has it that Yuan Ling Saintess has Yuan Ling Saintess's body, which is a supreme furnace that can help dual cultivators break through to the next realm. I didn't expect it to be true. Saintess of Light stared at Yuan Ling Saintess, and suddenly thought of a legend, and her eyes showed an extremely surprised look. Yuan Ling Saintess's body was said to contain a wisp of Yuan Ling Qi at the beginning of the world. Not only was it extremely talented, but it also had an incomparably heaven-defying cultivation speed. It was also a good furnace that could help dual cultivators break through to the next realm. Yuan Ling Saintess originally wanted to control Darkness Ling Xiao, but she did not expect to suffer a double loss in the end, and even helped Darkness Ling Xiao's cultivation began to soar. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, as if they had sensed the commotion here, several powerful figures came from afar and appeared in front of the Saintess in an instant. They were 3 old men with white hair and beards, as well as over 100 young men with peerlessly powerful auras. All of their gazes were like lightning, and they emitted a sense of lofty arrogance. The cultivation of those hundreds of young people were all in the Saint Realm and the Great Saint Realm. Their talents were extremely terrifying. Who would have thought that the primitive Devil's sect had cultivated so many talented disciples? As for the 3 white-haired old men, their strength was incomparably terrifying, as unfathomable as the sea. Especially the one in the lead, his eyes were cold, as if he was a mountain standing in the abyss. Shockingly, he was an Empyrean powerhouse. 1 celestial master, 2 supreme saint kings, and over 100 saints. This was more than half of the primitive demon sect's experts. The Saintess' expression instantly became extremely vigilant. She stared at the 3 white-haired old men in front of her, the aura of light looming around her, as if she was ready to attack at any time. The Saintess of the Light didn't care about the hundreds of disciples of the primitive demon sect, but the 3 white-haired elders made her feel extremely threatened. Especially the Empyrean powerhouse, whose terrifying evil qi was like a sky-burning flame, locking the Saintess and Darkness Ling Xiao in place. When the experts of the primitive demon sect saw the appearance of Darkness Ling Xiao and the Saintess Yuan Ling, their expressions changed drastically, and their eyes surged with monstrous killing intent. Although Darkness Ling Xiao and the Saintess Yuan Ling were wrapped in bright divine light and looked hazy, their bodies were entangled together. Even a fool would know what they were doing. Ah! Damned beast! How dare you defile the Saintess Yuan Ling? You must tear him to shreds. Bastard, the Saintess Yuan Ling has been defiled. His Highness will not let us go. We will all suffer with him. Capture him, I want him to beg for death. The 2 supreme Saint Kings roared, their hair and beards fluttering, their eyes full of anger and killing intent. The hundreds of disciples of the primitive demon sect were so angry that they screamed and treated Darkness Lingxiao as their enemy. They could not wait to tear him into pieces. That was the Saintess Yuan Ling of the primitive demon sect, a peerless figure in the entire demon realm. Which disciple of the primitive demon sect was not infatuated with the Saintess Yuan Ling? Even the crown prince treated the Saintess Yuan Ling as his exclusive property. There was a rumor in the primitive demon sect that the crown prince was cultivating in seclusion. When he came out this time, his cultivation would reach the celestial master realm. At that time, with the help of the Saintess Yuan Ling's original spirit qi, he would be able to break through to the Supreme Emperor realm. But now, the Saintess Yuan Ling had been defiled. They could imagine how furious the crown prince would be if he knew about this. Bastard! No matter who you are, you have to die today. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the celestial master. His killing intent was almost tangible. In an instant, monstrous killing intent surged around him and he pressed his palm down on Darkness Lingxiao. Light flashed in the eyes of the Saintess of Light. In an instant, boundless light radiated from her body. The luminous sun disk soared into the sky like an ancient mountain. Dazzling light gushed out and blocked in front of the celestial master elder. Buzz! The huge palm print collided with the luminous disks. In an instant, blazing light bloomed, and the luminous disks buzzed. Saintess of Light, how dare you go against the primitive demon sect? The celestial master elder stared at the Saintess of Light with killing intent in his eyes and said coldly. Primitive demon sect. You still have time to kill us now. The blood prison demon sect is about to break through this world of relics. When they come in, this antiquity time relic will change hands. The Saintess of Light smiled faintly. She was not being an alarmist. When she and Darkness Lingxiao entered the world of relics, she deliberately made a big noise in order to alarm the blood prison demon sect and lure them in. Calculating the time, the blood prison demon sect was about to enter the world of relics. Chapter 2742. Blood Prison Demon Sect. Stop trying to scare us. The blood prison demon sect doesn't even know about this primordial relic. A supreme sage king sneered. Master, Holy Master, these people might not be able to sense whether I'm telling the truth, but can't you? If the blood prison demon sect breaks into the primordial relic world, I'm afraid all your efforts will be in vain. The Holy Maiden of Light smiled. A heavenly venerate could sense the energy fluctuations of the world. If the blood prison demon sect was attacking the primordial relic world, a heavenly venerate would definitely be able to sense it. After the Holy Maiden of Light finished speaking, the heavenly venerate's face suddenly turned pale. The Holy Maiden of Light was right. Now, the blood prison demon sect had gathered a large number of experts outside the primordial relic world. They were madly attacking the array seal left by the primordial demon sect, trying to break into the primordial relic world. Damn it! Junior brothers, trap them first. Don't let them escape. Wait until I've blocked the blood prison demon sect's people, then I'll come back to take care of them. The heavenly venerate said furiously. Although he wanted to kill the Holy Maiden of Light and Darkness Lingxiao immediately, he knew that he couldn't kill the Holy Maiden of Light so quickly with the Supreme Emperor weapon, the luminous discs. After all, the Holy Maiden of Light's cultivation had broken through to the Saint King realm. Moreover, in comparison, it was more important to resolve the crisis of the blood prison demon sect. The primordial relic couldn't be lost. The primordial relic's core inheritance must not fall into the hands of the blood prison demon sect. Senior brother, don't worry. They won't be able to escape. They're just two ordinary Saint Kings. We'll capture them alive and wait for senior brother to deal with them. The two Supreme Sage King Realm Elders cupped their fists at the Heavenly Venerate. Swoosh! The Heavenly Venerate looked deeply at Darkness Lingxiao and the Holy Maiden of Light. Without any hesitation, his body flashed and turned into a stream of light that shot into the distance. He had to seek help from the primordial demon sect and preside over the primordial relic world's sealing array. Without a heavenly venerate like him, the blood prison demon sect would be able to break in soon. This was something he would never allow. For this reason, he could even temporarily give up on killing Dark Soaring Sky and Holy Maiden of Light. Seeing that the Holy Master had left, the Holy Maiden of Light heaved a sigh of relief. The pressure on her was instantly reduced. Even with Guangming's chakra, she could not guarantee that she could hold off that heavenly venerable for long. Moreover, there were 2 supreme holy kings and hundreds of saints who were eyeing them covetously. Now that the heavenly venerate had left, even if there were still 2 supreme sacred kings, the Holy Maiden had nothing to fear. Holy Maiden of Light, if you surrender quickly, I can spare your life. If you don't know what's good for you, don't blame us for being rude. The 2 peerless saint kings glared at the saintess with murderous intent in their eyes. Cut the crap. If you want to fight, let's fight. The saintess of light said indifferently. You're courting death. The 2 peerless saint kings' eyes were filled with murderous intent. In an instant, they leaped into the air. Incomparably violent saint path energy gushed out from their bodies like raging waves and pounced on the saintess of light. The 2 peerless saint kings' furious attack was extremely powerful. Even the saintess of light did not dare to be careless. She immediately activated Guangming's chakra to meet them. Rumble. Guangming's chakra was like a radiant sun, releasing dazzling light. Rays of light pierced through the void like sword chi, instantly enveloping the 2 peerless saint kings and hundreds of primitive demon sect's disciples. Great light sword chi. The saintess of light scolded softly. In an instant, the rays of light became extremely sharp, containing an extreme emperor aura that could destroy everything. The aura was extremely terrifying. This was an emperor technique left behind by the Great Light Emperor. With the help of Guangming's chakra, it unleashed an extremely terrifying power. Rumble. The 2 supreme Saint King Realm elders were still fine. Their strength was terrifying. Although they were bathed in sword rain, their attacks were incomparably violent, shattering the sword chi that filled the sky. However, the hundreds of primitive demon sect's disciples were not so lucky. They were originally restless, waiting for the 2 elders to deal with the saintess of light so that they could launch a sneak attack on Dark Soaring Clouds. Seeing Dark Soaring Clouds and Yuan Ling's saintess dual cultivation, they were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. No matter what, they wanted to get rid of Dark Soaring Clouds first. However, when the Great Light Sword Chi fell, a dozen of the weaker primitive demon sect's disciples were unable to dodge in time. The sword chi pierced through their foreheads and completely destroyed their souls. Bastard! All disciples, retreat 10,000 miles. The 2 peerless Saint King elders were so angry that they almost vomited blood. They roared crazily, their eyes filled with monstrous killing intent. Their hearts were bleeding. Those were the most talented disciples of the primitive devil sect. Every one of them was extremely talented. Hundreds of them had been selected from millions of disciples and sent to the Origin Sea for training. In just a few decades, they had reached their current level. It could be said that they would at least become Saint Kings in the future. They even had hopes of breaking through to the Imperial Emperor realm. Each of them was the treasure of the primitive demon sect. Now that the Saintess of Light had killed a dozen of them, they were heartbroken. They hurriedly ordered the remaining disciples to retreat from the battlefield. They were really afraid that the Saintess of Light would go crazy and slaughter most of the primitive demon sect's disciples. If that happened, their efforts over the past few decades would be in vain. The primitive demon sect's disciples were all shocked when they knew how ruthless and powerful the Saintess of Light was. They did not dare to stay here any longer. They all retreated. Bitch, I will fuck you 10,000 times and then cut you into pieces. You will never be reincarnated. One of the elders with white hair and beard said viciously. He stared at the Saintess of Light in front of him. Suddenly, a blazing light rose around him and turned into a monstrous void fire, spreading toward the Saintess of Light. In an instant, the sea of flames in the void boiled as the void started to distort. The other elder had an ancient sword in his hand. It shone with dazzling sword radiance and made a clanging sound in the void space. In an instant, the sword was unsheathed and an extremely sharp sword chi slashed toward the Saintess of Light. The two supreme Saint Kings were enraged. They wanted to kill the Saintess of Light once and for all. Old dogs, do you think you are worthy of touching my woman? Just as the Saintess of Light was about to drive the heavenly wheel of light to fight the two primitive demon sect Saint Kings, a cold and domineering voice suddenly rang out in the void space. Husband, you're awake. The Saintess of Light was shocked. She immediately looked at dark soaring clouds with joy. Dark soaring clouds. Chapter 27:43. Rumble. A huge vortex seemed to have appeared around dark soaring clouds and Yuan Ling Saintess. Endless origin energy violently surged into their bodies. Dark Ling Xiao and Yuan Ling Saintess had both broken through to the peak Holy King realm. Dark soaring cloud walked out of the endless origin energy. His upper body was bare, revealing his incomparably muscular body. Darkness and light coexisted around him like two halos floating behind him. This made Dark Soaring Cloud, who was already incomparably evil, appear even more mysterious and evil. His black hair danced wildly, exuding a wild and unruly temperament. The aura around him was terrifying, exuding an invincible aura. He instantly appeared beside the Saintess of Light. Boom! Dark Ling Xiao threw out a simple punch. The flames all over the sky suddenly exploded into a rain of light in the void. On the other hand, the sharp streak of sword light was shattered by Darkness Soaring Firmament's punch, turning into nothingness. The full-force attack of the two supreme holy kings was directly neutralized by Dark Ling Xiao. You are the Dark Demon Sect's holy son, Dark Ling Xiao. The expressions of the two supreme saint kings changed. Their eyes turned ugly. For some reason, although the two of them seemed to be a realm higher than Darkness Ling Xiao, and Darkness Ling Xiao had only just broken through to peak Saint King, they felt an extremely powerful threat from Darkness Ling Xiao. It's me. Old dog of the primitive demon sect, are you the ones who want to kill me? Dark Ling Xiao sneered, his eyes cold. Ling Xiao, you have caused great trouble for the dark demon sect. You have offended the primitive demon sect. Even the dark demon sect can't save you. Surrender now, kneel down and admit your mistake. Perhaps you will still have a chance to live. The two supreme holy kings said coldly. It seems that you still don't understand the situation. Darkness Ling Xiao sighed softly. In that case, let me tell you. Dark Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly burst out with a sharp light. Boom! He was like a raging sun that had suddenly exploded. His speed was extremely fast, even faster than lightning. He appeared in front of a peerless Saint King almost instantly. The power of light and darkness intertwined on his fist, and then he threw a punch. Crack! The space exploded at that moment. The violent energy was compressed to the limit. The origin of light and darkness within it made the peerless saint ruler shiver. He sensed fatal killing intent and hurriedly retreated. Boom! The dark fist was extremely fast, directly shattering the Saint King's Saint aura and sending him flying. Puff! The peerless Holy King's body shook violently, and blood spurted out of his mouth. His aura instantly became dispirited. Boom! Dark Ling Xiao did not throw a second punch. It was as if he did not take the peerless Saint King seriously at all. He threw another punch and then moved to the other peerless Saint King. The peerless Saint King was stunned by Dark Ling Xiao's terrifying combat strength. By the time he reacted and wanted to block the attack, Dark Ling Xiao had already charged over. Puff! He spurted out blood as well, and his chest caved in. He was sent flying. Even though the two of them were supreme saint rulers and possessed tremendous life origin energy, Darkness Ling Xiao's punch contained the origin energy of light and darkness. It wreaked havoc in their bodies, causing them to tremble violently. They had basically suffered unimaginable injuries in an instant. The two peerless Saint King elders could not even withstand a single blow from Dark Ling Xiao. In the distance, the disciples of the primitive demon sect were stunned. They could not imagine how Dark Ling Xiao could possess such terrifying combat strength. Swoosh! Dark Ling Xiao stretched out his hands and grabbed the two elders' necks as fast as lightning. He lifted them up, and a cold killing intent surged in his eyes. As for the two elders, they were struggling violently. Their eyes were filled with despair. Could it be that they were going to die like this? Dark Ling Xiao, can you spare their lives for my sake? Suddenly, Yuan Ling Saintess flew over from afar. Her eyes were filled with incomparable complexity as she spoke to Dark Ling Xiao. Spare their lives? Sure. Dark Ling Xiao glanced at Yuan Ling Saintess and nodded faintly. Then, he tossed the two elders of the primitive demon sect away like they were garbage. Yuan Ling Saintess's eyes showed a trace of surprise. She did not expect Dark Ling Xiao to agree so easily. Dark Ling Xiao seemed to have seen the surprise in Yuan Ling Saintess's eyes. He said indifferently, "You are my woman. You have just helped me break through to the peak Saint King realm. Since you have asked me, I will naturally agree. But only this time. My woman's heart can only be tied to me. She cannot be bound by anyone else." Hearing Dark Ling Xiao's overbearing words, Yuan Ling Saintess's eyes became even more complicated. She originally wanted to use her powerful primordial spirit to control Dark Ling Xiao, but she did not expect that she would lose control and lose her virginity to Dark Ling Xiao. After being in perfect harmony with Dark Ling Xiao and cultivating primordial spirit, she felt an inexplicable closeness to Dark Ling Xiao. She could not even hate him even if she wanted to. She did not have any objection to Dark Ling Xiao's overbearing words. The two elders of the primitive demon sect looked extremely humiliated. They were supreme saint kings, but they were defeated by Dark Ling Xiao so easily. In the end, they had to rely on Yuan Ling Saintess to beg for their lives. Their hatred and killing intent towards Dark Soaring Firmament had reached an extreme. "Ling Xiao, if you promise me that you will not kill any disciples of the primitive demon sect before leaving this world, I will take you to the core inheritance of the chaotic demon sect. You may be able to obtain the core inheritance of the chaotic demon sect there." Yuan Ling Saintess pondered for a moment, then suddenly looked up and said to Dark Ling Xiao. "The core inheritance of the primitive demon sect?" Dark Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. The primitive demon sect was known as the most powerful force in the legendary demon realm. They had once unified the entire demon realm and made countless experts tremble at their feet. How powerful would the inheritance of such a terrifying sect be? Supreme Emperor Art? Apex Emperor Weapon? Origin Emperor Sutra? Dark Ling Xiao's heart was filled with anticipation. No. Yuan Ling, the core inheritance of the chaotic demon sect. You must not bring outsiders there. You are betraying us. The primitive demon sect will not let you go. The emperor will not let you go either. The two elders of the primitive demon sect heard Yuan Ling Saintess's words and their faces changed instantly. They hurriedly shouted, trying to stop Yuan Ling Saintess. P.S. This is the end of the third update. Everyone, rest early. Third Sect Master. Chapter 2744. The two elders of the primitive devil sect stared at the Saintess Yuan Ling with fury and disbelief. The inheritance of the Chaos Demon sect was something that the primitive demon sect was determined to get. If they could get it, they might be able to surpass the immortal demon sect and the blood prison demon sect and become the greatest existence in the demon realm. Although the primitive demon sect had been exploring the primordial relic for dozens of years and searched for all the treasures in the periphery, they still couldn't enter the primordial demon sect's land of inheritance. However, they treated it as the exclusive property of the primitive demon sect and didn't allow anyone to touch it. Saintess Yuan Ling wanted to take Darkness Ling Xiao to the inheritance land of the Chaos Demon sect. This was the biggest betrayal. Elders, believe me, the inheritance of the Chaos Demon sect doesn't belong to the primitive demon sect. I'm doing this for your sake. You're not Ling Xiao's match. Saintess Yuan Ling said calmly. Doesn't belong to the primitive demon sect. Does the inheritance of the Chaos Demon sect belong to Ling Xiao? The two elders were so angry that they laughed. Their words were sarcastic, but Saintess Yuan Ling nodded calmly and said, yes, the inheritance of the Chaos Demon sect only belongs to Ling Xiao, and only he can open it. Bullshit. An elder scolded angrily. Yuan Ling, the sect has worked hard to cultivate you. I didn't expect you to be such a traitor. The emperor won't let you go. There will be no place for you in the demon realm. The other elder was so angry that his entire body was trembling. They didn't expect Saintess Yuan Ling to become a different person after sleeping with Darkness Ling Xiao. She wanted to take Darkness Ling Xiao to the inheritance land of the Chaos Demon sect? Wife, why are you talking so much nonsense with them? Let's go. I want to see what's in the inheritance land of the Chaos Demon sect. Dark High Firmament sneered and said eagerly. Okay. Saintess Yuan Ling nodded and said. You all deserve to die. Yuan Ling, the emperor won't let you go. The two elders of the primitive demon sect roared furiously. Their eyes were filled with grief and indignation. They could only watch as Yuan Ling Saintess left with Darkness Ling Xiao and Light Saintess. There was nothing they could do. Although the two of them had the cultivation of a supreme saint king, they were no match for Darkness soaring clouds at all, especially the terrifying light and darkness sources, which seemed to be able to destroy everything, completely injuring them with a single blow. However, dark soaring heavens turned a deaf ear to their roars and threats. In any case, they were both defeated opponents, ant-like existences that could be killed at any time. They posed no threat at all. Moreover, dark soaring clouds had promised Yuan Ling Saintess to spare their lives. However, the powerhouses of the Blood Prison Demon sect were about to charge in. Even if Ling Xiao didn't kill them, they were seriously injured and it was hard to say if they could survive the attack of the Blood Prison Demon sect. Whoosh! 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 Ling Xiao, Yuan Ling Saintess, and Light Saintess went to the depths of the Origin Sea together. The Origin Source Sea was able to gather such a vast amount of Origin Source energy because of the mysterious Origin Source formation set up in the Chaotic Demon sect's land of inheritance. It could continuously extract Origin Source energy from the All Heavens voids. The original intention of the Chaotic Demon sect to set up the Origin Array was to protect the core land of inheritance. This was because the land of inheritance of the Chaotic Demon sect was in the center of the Origin Sea. Rumble. The Origin Sea was turbulent and surging, containing terrifying energy fluctuations. The closer one got to the center of the Origin Sea, the more violent the origin energy became. Even saints and supreme saints couldn't cultivate in the center of the Origin Sea. Only a Saint King Realm Master could withstand such violent source energy. That is the core land of inheritance of the Chaotic Demon sect. Unfortunately, the primitive demon sect has used all means to enter the chaotic heavenly palace for so many years. Yuan Ling Saintess pointed to the void in front of her and said. Ling Xiao looked up and saw an ancient and mysterious heavenly palace floating above the vast and turbulent Origin Sea. The heavenly palace was filled with chaotic energy and was grayish-brown in color. It didn't look exquisite at all and was very rough, as if it was built with huge chaotic stones without any decoration. However, looking at the heavenly palace, Ling Xiao could feel an ancient aura coming from it. The heavenly palace seemed to have come from the ancient times. The flow of time had solidified on it, and it exuded an eternal and immortal fluctuation. Although it seemed that the heavenly palace was right in front of Dark Ling Xiao felt as if they were separated by endless time and space. What a strange chaotic heavenly palace. A light flashed in Dark Ling Xiao's eyes. Although the chaotic heavenly palace was right in front of him, Dark Ling Xiao sensed an extremely chaotic space and time power. It seemed chaotic, but there seemed to be a pattern, forming an extremely mysterious formation that completely isolated the chaotic heavenly palace from this world. Although this chaos divine palace is in the skies above the source sea, the truth is that it doesn't exist in this space-time. It's like a projection, covered in an incomparably complex and mysterious space-time array. Even if a Saint King powerhouse were to rashly enter, they would be instantly torn apart and turned to ash. 2 Saint King ancestors of the primitive demon sect have died, and heavenly master experts have come here and used an extreme way emperor weapon, but they still couldn't enter the chaotic heavenly palace. Yuan Ling Saintess explained. Since you haven't entered the chaotic heavenly palace, how can you be sure that the core inheritance of the chaotic demon sect is here? The Saintess of Light asked curiously. Although we haven't entered the chaotic heavenly palace, we have already plundered all the treasures in the ruins. According to various clues, this chaotic heavenly palace is the real core of the chaotic demon sect. Yuan Ling Saintess said slowly. Your primitive demon sect has the primitive demon emperor, but even you can't break the space-time formation outside the chaotic demon sect. How can you believe that I can enter the chaotic heavenly palace? Dark Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. You're different. Yuan Ling Saintess said calmly. Your body contains the origin of the demon realm, and you have the luck of the demon realm. It's not an exaggeration to call you the son of the demon realm. If the chaotic demon sect wants to find a successor, you're the best choice. Therefore, you have the greatest chance. Although the space-time formation is strong, if you release your aura, especially the origin of the demon realm, you'll definitely be able to enter the chaotic heavenly palace. Although Yuan Ling Saintess's voice was calm, it contained a kind of certainty. She was sure that Dark Ling Zhao could enter the chaotic heavenly palace. I'm naturally interested in the inheritance of the chaotic demon sect. In that case, I'll give it a try. Dark Ling Zhao smiled faintly. His eyes flashed as his gaze fell on the chaotic heavenly palace, and he instantly soared into the sky. /book_62507/L. Chapter 2745. Mo Sang Mountain Range. Thousands of figures with terrifying auras hovered in the air. Every one of them was a Saint Path Realm expert. Thousands of saints descended upon the Mo Sang Mountain Range, causing the barren mountain range to shake violently and the void to distort. The three figures in the lead seemed to be shrouded in the sun. Their auras were extremely terrifying, as if they contained the majestic energy of a volcano. Every move of theirs contained the fluctuations of the Great Path Law. They were shockingly three great Empyrean powerhouses. They were all from the Blood Prison Demon sect. After discovering the primordial relic of the Chaos Demon sect, they decisively mobilized thousands of experts. Under the lead of the three holy masters, they began to attack the seal array of the relic world. How dare the primitive demon sect secretly explore the primordial demon sect's relic in our territory? They must have a death wish. The primordial demon sect's relic can only belong to the Blood Prison Demon sect. Kill everyone in the relic. If the Blood Prison Demon sect obtains the primordial demon sect's inheritance, we will immediately become the #1 holy land in the demon world. The gazes of the three heavenly venerables were incomparably cold, containing ice-cold killing intent. Their bodies exuded a terrifying and monstrous fluctuation. Rumble. Under the lead of the three holy masters, thousands of experts from the Blood Prison Demon sect displayed their most powerful attacks. They continuously attacked the array of the relic world, trying to forcefully break open the array. The experts from the Blood Prison Demon sect were extremely furious. They had never thought that the primordial demon sect's relic would be in the Mo Sang Mountain Range. If they had not accidentally discovered the fluctuations of the battle, they would probably still be in the dark. They hated the primitive demon sect to the core. Rumble. The terrifying attacks were like beams of dazzling divine light that seemed to be able to tear everything apart. They continuously bombarded the array of the relic world. The mountains of the Mo Sang Mountain Range crumbled, revealing the dazzling array of the relic world. The chaotic mist was ethereal and vaguely seemed to lead to another world. In the relic world, the primordial demon sect's holy master looked extremely solemn. Damn it! Ling Zhao and the Saintess of the Light must have attracted the Blood Prison Demon sect. Otherwise, they would not have discovered the relic. I will tear them to shreds. The heavenly venerable ancestor said angrily. Although he was presiding over the core of the array and wanted to stop the Blood Prison Demon sect from breaking the array, he still felt great pressure. Even with him, a celestial venerable, presiding over the formation, the Blood Prison Demon sect had mobilized over 1,000 Saint Wei experts, as well as 3 celestial venerables and over a dozen saint rulers. It gave him tremendous pressure. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before the formation barrier was completely shattered. Why haven't the sect's reinforcements arrived yet? The inheritance of the Chaos Demon sect must not fall into the hands of the Blood Prison Demon sect. The celestial venerable ancestor said anxiously. His eyes were filled with determination. A terrifying aura filled the air around him. Vast energy was continuously poured into the matrix, forming a vast matrix boundary. It sealed the entrance of the passage and prevented the cultivators of the Blood Prison Demon sect from entering the world of the ruins. However, the boundary of the matrix continued to tremble. With the attacks of the many cultivators of the Blood Prison Demon sect, the runes were shattered and annihilated, as if they would be completely broken at any time. Rumble. At this moment, a blood-red light bloomed and turned into a blood-red sun. It was as if a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood were spreading out. The blood-red sun exuded a vast Emperor's aura and slammed into the boundary of the formation. Extreme Emperor Weapon, Blood Prison Heavenly Sun. The primordial demon sect's celestial venerable ancestor's expression changed instantly. He could not help but exclaim. The Blood Prison Demon sect had actually brought the Blood Prison Heavenly Sun, an extreme Emperor weapon. With the celestial venerable's aura activating the Blood Prison Heavenly Sun, how long could the matrix boundary withstand it? Rumble. The blood-red sun bloomed. It contained an unparalleled divine might. It directly collided with the boundary of the formation. The innumerable runes exploded with a loud bang. The boundary of the formation trembled violently. In the end, it completely shattered like a spider web. The passage to the world of the ruins had opened. Kill everyone in. Leave no one alive. The celestial venerable of the Blood Prison Demon sect said coldly. Swoosh. 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 Under the lead of the three celestial venerables of the Blood Prison Demon sect, thousands of holy path experts flooded into the world of the ruins. A fierce battle broke out in an instant. Just as the passage to the world of the ruins was opened, Darkness Ling Xiao sensed something and could not help but look into the distance. The world of the ruins was trembling. There was an ominous aura fluctuation in the distance. It seemed that the Blood Prison Demon sect had entered. Darkness Ling Xiao stood in front of the Chaos Heavenly Palace and collected his thoughts. Regardless of whether the Blood Prison Demon sect had entered, the most important thing was to enter the Chaos Heavenly Palace. The Chaos Heavenly Palace in front of him seemed to be within reach. However, Darkness Ling Xiao felt an extremely chaotic spacetime power that seemed to be able to crush everything. It was a spacetime origin power that could even kill a Sage King. It was the power of the Emperor Realm. No wonder the primordial demon sect was unable to enter Chaos Divine Palace. Unless the primordial demon emperor personally came and used his transcendent divine might to forcefully flatten the spacetime array around Chaos Divine Palace, even an Empyrean powerhouse wouldn't be able to enter. Darkness Ling Xiao followed the instructions of Saintess Yuan Ling. The aura of darkness and light bloomed around him. The power of evil and holiness appeared on his body at the same time, making him appear more mysterious and ethereal. Darkness Ling Xiao's body emitted a mysterious origin aura. It was the aura fluctuation of the origin demon bone, which was also the origin of the demon realm mentioned by Saintess Yuan Ling. It also represented the supreme luck of Darkness Ling Xiao. The Chaos Demon Sect. I wonder what is the relationship between the Chaos Demon Sect and the Chaos Heavenly Sect in the Divine World. And the Chaos Secret Skill, perhaps it has some use? Darkness Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat as he began to operate the Chaos Secret Skill. Although he walked the path of Demon Dao, he mainly cultivated the Darkness Scripture and the Light Scripture. Among the 12 Sky Skills, he cultivated the Light and Darkness Secret Skill and the Sky Devouring Secret Skill the most. However, he and Ling Xiao were of the same origin, so he also dabbled in the Chaos Secret Skill. Moreover, he vaguely felt that the end of the Light and Darkness Secret Skill was probably to return to the Chaos. Boom! Darkness Ling Xiao's body emitted a mysterious Chaos Qi, and the aura of the Chaos origin also erupted. As if it had felt the mysterious aura in Darkness Ling Xiao's body, the originally calm Chaos Heavenly Palace actually began to vibrate slightly. It's working. Darkness Ling Xiao's eyes lit up, and the origin of the demon realm and the chaos origin in his body were even more majestic. Chapter 2746. Boom. As if hundreds of millions of thunderbolts burst out, the Chaos Heavenly Palace trembled slightly, bursting out a thunder-like roar, rippling out a mysterious space-time ripple, causing the surrounding void to quickly shatter. A bright rainbow bridge traversed hundreds of millions of miles of void, spreading directly from the Chaos Heavenly Palace, and appeared at the feet of Dark Ling Xiao. It seemed that as long as Dark Ling Xiao stepped on this rainbow bridge, he could directly enter the Chaos Heavenly Palace. He really opened the Chaos Heavenly Palace. Yuan Ling Saintess trembled, and her eyes were full of incomparable shock. Although she thought that Dark Ling Xiao had a great possibility of opening the Chaos Heavenly Palace, she still felt incomparably shocked at this moment. This was the inheritance left by the Chaos Demon Sect, the former overlord of the Demon Realm, the supreme holy land that unified the Demon Realm. If it really fell into the hands of Dark Ling Xiao, how strong would he be? An imperial emperor or a supreme emperor? The Blood Prison Demon Sect should have already attacked. It's not safe for you to stay outside. Come with me into the Chaos Heavenly Palace. Dark Ling Xiao said to Yuan Ling Saintess and Light Saintess. Okay. Yuan Ling Saintess and Light Saintess both nodded, and there was a look of anticipation in their eyes. They were also very curious, what kind of shocking inheritance was in the legendary Chaos Demon Sect? Whoosh! Whoosh! They leaped up and instantly stepped on the rainbow bridge with Dark Ling Xiao, and then a bright light wrapped the three of them, and they instantly flew into the Chaos Heavenly Palace. Dark Ling Xiao felt the space-time around him change. He seemed to have shuttled through hundreds of millions of miles of void in an instant, but also seemed to have traveled through hundreds of millions of years. The incomparably chaotic power of space and time intertwined, making Dark Ling Xiao unable to detect where he was. When his eyes lit up again, he appeared in front of the Chaos Heavenly Palace. This was the real Chaos Heavenly Palace. It looked like an extremely ordinary palace. It was made of grayish-brown stones, and its walls were mottled. Traces of time flowed through it, and it was suffused with chaotic energy. It emitted an ancient aura. And now, the Chaos Heavenly Palace was within reach. It was no longer like before, when it seemed to be separated by endless space and time. Ling Xiao, Yuan Ling Saintess, and Light Saintess stood in front of the Chaos Heavenly Palace. Boom! The two ancient doors of the Chaos Heavenly Palace slowly opened, and a vast amount of chaos energy gushed out. The Saintess of Light and the Saintess of Yuan Ling both trembled and fainted. Who is it? Darkness Ling Xiao's expression changed as he said coldly. Such a strange method made the Holy Maiden of Light and the Holy Maiden of Yuan Ling faint directly. Even Ling Xiao did not notice anything, which made him very vigilant. You're finally here. An old and deep voice sounded. The light in front of Darkness Ling Xiao changed, and an old man with white hair and beard appeared. His body seemed to be somewhat illusory, like a spiritual body. However, his eyes were extremely wise and deep, as if he could see through everything. Don't worry. These two young friends have only fainted temporarily because there are some things that are not suitable for them to know. The old man said slowly to Darkness Ling Xiao. Who are you? Darkness Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said flatly. I am the Chaos Heavenly Palace. This is the weapon spirit of an extreme emperor weapon. The old man said with a smile. The primal Chaos Heaven Palace is actually an extreme Dao Emperor weapon? Darkness Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He did not expect the ordinary-looking Chaos Heavenly Palace in front of him to be a powerful extreme Emperor weapon. Most importantly, he did not sense any extreme Emperor aura. I have been waiting here for hundreds of millions of years, and finally, the Chaos Demon Tribe clansmen have arrived. You are also the last Chaos Demon Tribe clansman, and the only successor of the Chaos Demon Sect. The weapon spirit said to Darkness Ling Xiao. Chaos Demon Tribe? Could it be the aura of the origin demon bone? Darkness Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback, and there was a trace of doubt in his eyes. The Chaos Demon tribe is the oldest tribe in the demon world. They came from the beginning of the demon god era, and they were the first to unify the demon world and establish the Chaos Demon sect. You don't have to be confused. Once you obtain the inheritance of the Chaos Demon sect, you will understand everything. The weapon spirit said with a smile. Senior, why do you say that I am a Chaos Demon tribe clansman? Darkness Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. The Chaos Heavenly Palace can only be opened by the Chaos Demon tribe clansman. You have the aura of the Chaos Demon tribe's origin in your body, and no one can fake it. Otherwise, even the Supreme Emperor can forget about opening the Chaos Heavenly Palace. Although your bloodline is very heterogeneous, your bones are the pure bones of the Chaos origin, and they contain the aura of the Chaos origin. Moreover, you have the secret skill of the Chaos origin, so you are a Chaos Demon tribe clansman, and probably the only one left in this world. The weapon spirit said slowly, and there was a trace of sadness in his eyes. Senior, since the Chaos Demon sect was the overlord of the demon world, and the supreme existence that unified the demon world, how did it disappear in the demon world, and even its inheritance was sealed? Darkness Ling Xiao asked curiously. All of this was done by the despicable and shameless immortal tribe. In order to obtain the Chaos Ancient Scripture of the Chaos Demon tribe, they set a trap, killed the Chaos Demon Emperor, and slaughtered countless Chaos Demon tribe members, causing the Chaos Demon sect to be destroyed overnight. The weapon spirit said slowly, and there was a trace of hatred and sorrow in his eyes. Even though countless years had passed since then, he was still furious when he brought it up. Immortal tribe? The legendary First Epoch Master, the high and mighty immortal tribe that has existed for countless years? Darkness Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. His original body had met the immortal tribe highness in the Chaos Secret Zone not long ago. He did not expect the immortal tribe to be behind the destruction of the Chaos Demon sect. The First Epoch Master. That's just the shameless immortal tribe trying to flatter themselves. The First Epoch Master was also the true master of the universe, and the supreme overlord of the myriad heavens and realms was the immortal tribe. The immortal tribe was just a servant of the immortal tribe, but unfortunately, the immortal tribe benefited the most from the destruction of the immortal tribe. The immortal tribe is just a bunch of stinky rats hiding in the dark, despicable and shameless bastards. The weapon spirit said through gritted teeth, and his eyes were full of disdain. Immortal tribe? Immortal tribe? Darkness Ling Xiao could not help but be shocked when he heard the secrets of the immortal tribe and the immortal tribe from the weapon spirit. His original body had obtained the immortal tribe mark in the Chosen One convention, and it was vaguely recorded that the immortal tribe was the most powerful overlord of the myriad heavens and realms. Otherwise, the divine world would not be named after God. Later, Ling Xiao heard about the immortal tribe from Taoist Wuyang. He did not expect the immortal tribe to have such a relationship with the immortal tribe. P.S. The third update is over. Everyone, rest early. Third Master. Chapter 2747. Darkness Ling Xiao did not expect the destruction of the Chaos Demon tribe to be related to the immortal tribe. He gained a deeper understanding of the immortal tribe's strength. It should be known that the Chaos Demon race was the oldest race in the demon world and could be traced back to the beginning of the chaos. They had once created supreme glory and unified the entire demon world. The Chaos Demon Emperor was a peerless existence. According to the old spirit, the Chaos Demon Emperor had once dazzled the heavens and possessed invincible divine might. He had once killed a great emperor of the same level and was a peerless figure who dominated the heavens. Such a figure was probably equivalent to the heavenly emperor of the human tribe. Such a heaven-defying figure had died in the immortal tribe's scheme and led to the destruction of the Chaos Demon tribe. All that was left was this Chaos Demon relic. Dark Ling Xiao's heart was filled with dread towards the immortal clan. Heavens will has allowed you to come to the Chaos Heavenly Palace. This means that the Chaos Demon tribe is not destined to die. From now on, you will be the master of the Chaos Heavenly Palace and also my master. All the inheritance of the Chaos Demon tribe in the Chaos Heavenly Palace belongs to you. The weapon spirit elder said slowly and looked at Darkness Lingxiao with fervent hope. He had been waiting here for countless years, so long that he had forgotten the time and even thought that the Chaos Demon tribe had been completely wiped out. He did not expect Darkness Lingxiao to come. What is the inheritance of the Chaos Demon tribe? How can I refine the Chaos Heavenly Palace? Darkness Lingxiao's eyes flashed and he said slowly. The most heaven-defying inheritance of the Chaos Demon tribe is naturally the Chaos Ancient Scripture. It is said that the Chaos Ancient Scripture was imprinted in the body of the Chaos Demon tribe's ancestor and was bestowed by the Chaos. It contains the supreme mystery of the Chaos Great Tao. Although the Immortal tribe destroyed the Chaos Demon tribe and killed the Chaos Emperor, they did not obtain the Chaos Ancient Scripture. Once you have cultivated the Chaos Ancient Scripture, you will naturally be able to refine the Chaos Heavenly Palace. The Chaos Ancient Scripture is in the Chaos Heavenly Palace. The Weapon Spirit Elder said. The Chaos Ancient Scripture. Take me there. Dark High Firmament nodded. He followed the Weapon Spirit Elder into the Chaos Heavenly Palace. Rumble. The Heavenly Palace of Primal Chaos seemed to be a mysterious primal chaos world. Endless primal chaos fog was faintly discernible, and mysterious lights were dazzling all around. Lightning interweaved, flames rose, and earth, water, wind, and fire evolved. All kinds of mysterious phenomena appeared. Darkness Soaring Firmament almost thought that he had arrived in the primal chaos space. An ancient stone tablet appeared before him. There seemed to be nothing on the stone tablet. It was surrounded by the aura of primal chaos. However, there was an ancient and terrifying aura fluctuating from it. It was as if it could suppress the heavens and remain eternal. The Primal Chaos Origin Technique is the key to unlocking the Primal Chaos Ancient Scripture. The old artifact spirit said to Dark Lingxiao. Dark Lingxiao's eyes lit up as he sensed an extremely familiar feeling coming from the stone tablet before him. Darkness Soaring Cloud began to operate the Primal Chaos Secret Technique. Streaks of mysterious chaotic light bloomed from his body. The Primal Chaos Secret Technique contained the law of primal chaos. It contained everything and was incomparably vast. However, Dark Soaring Clouds had only cultivated the surface. Previously, when he used the Primal Chaos Secret Technique, he couldn't unleash much combat strength. This was because the law of primal chaos was too difficult to comprehend. It wasn't something that a Saint Tao realm expert could comprehend. The Great Tao of Primal Chaos was known as the #1 Great Tao in the heavens. It was even above the Great Tao of Destiny. As Dark Soaring Clouds used the Primal Chaos Secret Technique, the chaotic light around him bloomed and surged toward the stone tablet before him. Rumble. The stone tablet trembled violently. Mysterious light spewed out, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. As if the dust had been brushed away, the stone tablet shone brightly with golden light. Auspicious vapors rose and ancient and profound golden runes appeared, forming an ancient scripture. The Primal Chaos Ancient Scripture. Dark Soaring Clouds trembled. He immediately sensed that the scripture that appeared on the stone tablet was surging toward his soul like a torrent. Dark Soaring Clouds felt as if he was instantly enveloped by endless chaotic light. Darkness surrounded him. There was no light, no life. Only the eternal chaos was describing the power of chaos to Dark Soaring Clouds in a strange way. Dark Soaring Clouds sensed that the scripture of darkness and scripture of light that he'd cultivated had been completely encompassed by the Primal Chaos Ancient Scripture. Light and darkness fused together and ultimately returned to the chaos. The Primal Chaos Ancient Scripture was incomparably mysterious. It was the supreme inheritance of the chaos demons that even immortals coveted. As Dark Soaring Clouds gradually comprehended the Primal Chaos Ancient Scripture, his comprehension of the law of primal chaos began to advance by leaps and bounds. What Dark Soaring Clouds didn't know was that a strange light bloomed around him. Ancient and mysterious chants seemed to echo from his bones. The surrounding void rumbled and vibrated at the same time. Dark Soaring Clouds' flesh and blood seemed to be annihilated in an instant. All that was left was a black skeleton covered in ancient and mysterious runes. It was the origin demon bone. Or rather, the origin demon bone of the chaos. Darkness Ling Xiao had always thought that the origin demon bone that Ling Xiao had unintentionally obtained might have been the bone of a great emperor. However, he had never expected it to be the origin demon bone of the chaos demon tribe. The origin demon bone was branded with the supreme inheritance and fate of the chaos demon tribe. Now, it all belonged to dark soaring clouds. His flesh and blood disintegrated. As chaos energy surged, the vast law of primal chaos seemed to be reforging his body, transforming him into a true chaos demon. Legends said that chaos demons possessed an invincible body. When cultivated to the pinnacle, their body would be eternal and indestructible. They could traverse the chaos void and survive myriad tribulations. They possessed the power to destroy heaven and earth. Dark Soaring Clouds was Dark Soaring Clouds' clone forged from the origin demon bone. His flesh and blood were formed from ordinary treasures, so he was far from being a true chaos demon. While Dark Soaring Clouds was comprehending the primal chaos ancient scripture, the scripture began to mobilize the vast law of primal chaos to reforge his body. However, the process was incomparably slow. Dark Soaring Clouds' flesh and blood were formed from the purest law of primal chaos. When combined with his primal chaos origin demon bone, it would forge the most powerful chaos demon body for him. The great calamity of the epoch is coming. There's hope for the chaos demons. The old artifact spirit looked at Dark Soaring Clouds' figure with eyes full of anticipation. Rumble. The door of the primal chaos heavenly palace closed once again. The primal chaos ancient scripture was the heaven-defying inheritance of the chaos demons. Even though Dark Soaring Clouds already possessed the cultivation of a saint king, it would take him a long time to fully comprehend the primal chaos ancient scripture. The process might take years, decades, or even centuries. Chapter 2748. It's your fortune to be able to become master's women. Fine, I'll give you some good fortune. The artifact spirit looked at the unconscious Saintess of Light and Saintess of Yuanling and said lightly. With a wave of his sleeve, the Saintess of Light and Saintess of Yuanling floated in the air. The chaotic light around them surged and constantly washed their bodies, improving their foundation and cultivation. Although it wasn't as thorough as the Chaos Ancient Scripture's reconstruction of Darkness Ling Xiao's body, it was still extremely terrifying. After the Saintess of Light and Saintess of Yuanling were refined by the chaotic qi, their bodies were infinitely close to the chaos demon body, and their cultivation would also be greatly improved. The artifact spirit treated them as Darkness Ling Xiao's women, which was why he spent so much effort to reconstruct their foundation and improve their cultivation. They fell into a coma and didn't know that because of Darkness Ling Xiao, they had obtained a supreme good fortune. Rumble. In the skies above the Source Sea, Chaos Divine Palace slowly faded into the endless chaotic spacetime, completely vanishing from sight. The Primordial Demon Sect and Blood Prison Demon Sect were fighting to the death, but they didn't realize that the Chaos Heavenly Palace had disappeared. If they knew that the most powerful inheritance of the Chaos Demon Sect had fallen into Darkness Ling Xiao's hands, they would probably go crazy. They had worked hard for decades, but in the end, it was all for Darkness Ling Xiao. In a vast great thousand world, a mysterious figure floated in the sky. It was a perfect man. His entire body shone with dazzling golden light and was surrounded by 9-colored divine light. His face was extraordinarily handsome, and his figure was tall and heroic. His entire body emitted an ethereal and mysterious aura. He was like a high and mighty celestial emperor, majestic, mysterious, perfect, and powerful. Countless people exuded fanatical worship. Behind him stood two figures with terrifying auras. One was an old man in a red robe. He was hale and hearty, and his face was majestic and mysterious. He stood with a sword in both hands, and his expression was extremely respectful. The other was a young woman in a white dress. Her face was extremely beautiful, holy, and ethereal. Her hands were holding a seal, and she was also extremely respectful. Below them, there were hundreds of thousands of soldiers. They were so densely packed that they blotted out the sky. Their vast and terrifying auras seemed to be able to shatter the sky. My lord, of the 23 saint kings in the mysterious spirit world, other than the 8 saint kings who resisted stubbornly and were killed by us, the other 15 saint kings have all submitted. Our Lord's statues have been erected all over the profound spirit world, and tens of thousands of temples have been built. The people of the profound spirit world will worship him every day. Our Lord is the only true God of the profound spirit world. The red-robed elder reported respectfully. That's right. The profound spirit world is already the 9th world that we have conquered, right? Although the Xianling world had tens of billions of living beings, this world was still too weak. Prepare to attack the Fengyun realm. The figure in the void said indifferently. His voice was ethereal and contained the sound of the great path. It was clearly transmitted into everyone's ears. His face was exactly the same as Ling Xiao's. He was naturally Ling Xiao's second clone, Faith Ling Xiao. The red-robed elder was the heaven-burning saint king of the heaven prison realm. Originally, he was only a peak saint king, but after following Faith Ling Xiao and conquering the heavens, he had obtained supreme opportunities. His cultivation had also broken through 2 small realms and reached the Heavenly Lord realm. After all, his accumulation was extremely strong, and what he lacked was only the resources to break through. As for the other Saint Kings, most of them had broken through to the Peak Saint King or Supreme Saint King realm. As for the woman in the white dress, she was the Lord of the White Frost World, Bai Linglong. After losing to Faith Ling Xiao, she voluntarily submitted to Faith Ling Xiao. She was also a Heavenly Lord realm expert. The current Faith Ling Xiao was no longer the same as when he had just left the Heaven Prison realm. He had 2 Heavenly Lords and hundreds of Saint Kings under his command. The Saint Army had reached a terrifying number of hundreds of thousands. Along the way, it was like a rolling snowball that grew stronger and stronger. Now, Faith Ling Xiao had conquered 9 boundless worlds and ruled over trillions of living beings. He had built countless shrines and temples, and trillions of living beings were constantly providing him with an endless supply of faith power. However, the 9 boundless worlds that Darkness Ling Xiao had conquered were not strong, but the Wind Cloud world was an extremely powerful boundless world. According to the investigation of the scouts, there were hundreds of Saint King realm experts. This was a tough nut to crack. Has the Lord finally decided to attack the Wind Cloud world? Ha ha ha, the Wind Cloud world will also submit to the Lord without any exception. Burning Heaven Saint King, or rather, Venerable Fen's eyes were filled with incomparable excitement and eagerness to give it a try. My lord, Linglong is willing to be the vanguard and take the lead to attack the Wind Cloud world to investigate the situation. As long as there are no Emperor realm experts in the Wind Cloud world, the Wind Cloud world will definitely be the Lord's. Bai Linglong also said respectfully. She raised her head slightly and looked at the perfect man in front of her. He was always so calm and wise. He was always able to devise strategies and win battles from thousands of miles away. Under his terrifying calculations, the greater 1,000 worlds had submitted to him. Moreover, Bai Linglong and Fen Tianzuan could no longer see through Faith Ling Xiao's cultivation. Previously, they could barely see that Faith Ling Xiao had broken through from the Saint Realm to the Great Saint Realm with irresistible force. It was as simple as eating and drinking water. However, since Faith Ling Xiao's cultivation had broken through to the Saint King Realm, they could no longer see through Faith Ling Xiao's cultivation. Now, Faith Ling Xiao was standing in front of them, but they felt an incomparably terrifying pressure. It was like a tsunami, making them feel small in their hearts. They often secretly guessed that Faith Ling Xiao had broken through to the heavenly venerable realm. After all, Faith Ling Xiao's breakthrough did not rely on the great Tao of heaven and earth or the origin energy, but on the power of faith. As long as there was enough power of faith, his cultivation could rapidly improve. Linglong, you don't need to find out the truth. There is an Imperial Emperor powerhouse in the Fengyun realm. This is also the biggest challenge of our trip. This time, we don't need any calculations. We just need to directly push through. Faith Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His smile seemed to be able to make hundreds of flowers bloom and make the world lose its color. Even Bai Linglong was absent-minded for a moment. However, Bai Linglong and Fen Tianzuan were attracted by Faith Ling Zhao's words. An imperial emperor powerhouse. The two of them looked at each other with a somewhat solemn expression. If it was a heavenly venerable powerhouse, no matter how many heavenly venerable powerhouses there were, they would not be so worried. After all, an imperial emperor had touched the supreme god realm, far surpassing a saint realm powerhouse. Would they be a match for an imperial emperor? However, when they saw Faith Ling Zhao's indifferent smile, all their worries suddenly disappeared, and their hearts became firm. As long as their master was there, what was there to fear about an imperial emperor? Master's order is to sweep through the Fengyun realm. Fen Tianzuan said in a deep voice. His voice was like thunder, rumbling between heaven and earth. In an instant, the eyes of the hundreds of thousands of soldiers revealed an incomparably fanatical look, and their bodies exuded a soaring fighting spirit. P.S. Second update, there are only 2 updates today. Everyone, rest early. Tomorrow, 4th update. Chapter 2749. Wind Cloud Realm. This was an incomparably prosperous upper-class world that contained incomparably dense and powerful origin energy. Geniuses gathered in large numbers and experts emerged in large numbers. There were 2 major clans in the Wind Cloud realm, the Wind Clan and the Cloud Clan. The 2 clans opposed each other and fought endlessly. However, the Wind Clan was overbearing. In recent years, an ancestor of the clan had broken through to the Imperial Emperor realm, causing the Cloud Clan to fall into a disadvantage and suffer heavy losses in the war between the 2 clans. There were many men in the Wind Clan, and they were overbearing and arrogant. There were many women in the Cloud Clan, and all of them were incomparably beautiful. The Wind Clan had always wanted to completely annex the Cloud Clan. During the war between the 2 clans, if the women of the Cloud Clan fell into the hands of the Wind Clan, their fates would be extremely miserable. The Wind Cloud mountain range was a huge mountain range that spanned hundreds of millions of miles. It was like the dragon vein of the Wind Cloud realm, separating the territories of the Wind Clan and the Cloud Clan. However, as the ancestor of the Wind Clan broke through to the Imperial Emperor realm, the Wind Cloud mountain range completely fell into the hands of the Wind Clan. Moreover, it was constantly nibbling at the Cloud Clan, causing the territory of the Cloud Clan to constantly shrink. At this moment, an extremely intense battle was taking place in the Wind Cloud mountain range. Protect the princess! Furious roars sounded one after another, filled with soaring fighting spirit and anger. A group of young men and women in silver-white armor with extremely powerful auras held powerful magic treasures in their hands and protected a young girl in the middle. The young girl was also wearing silver-white armor. Her figure was tall and soft, and her curves were exquisite. Her face was extremely beautiful, and her black hair was like a waterfall that hung down to her waist. Her entire body exuded a graceful and noble aura. At this moment, her eyes were filled with anxiety and despair. A group of men in cyan armor had cold eyes and terrifying auras. They exuded powerful fluctuations of the saint path and trapped them in the middle. Cold murderous intent also locked them in place. Princess Yunqing, I advise you not to resist stubbornly. Surrender obediently. Although you don't have the qualifications to become my official consort, you can still be a concubine. A handsome young man in golden armor said indifferently. He had an evil smile on his face, and his eyes were filled with the confidence of victory. His cultivation had already reached the Saint King realm. Feng Zhengyang, don't even think about it. Even if I die, I won't let you capture me to threaten my father. Princess Yunqing said angrily. Sorrow and despair flooded her heart. She had gone to the Wind Cloud mountain range this time to investigate an ancient ruin, but she had never thought that she would fall into the trap of the Wind Clan. The 3rd prince of the Wind Clan, Feng Zhengyang, had personally led a large group of experts to kill her. Her 2 Saint King realm guardians had both been killed by the Wind Clan. Currently, she only had a group of Saint Stage and Great Saint Stage powerhouses under her command. Although they were brave, How could they be a match for Feng Zhengyang? Not only was Feng Zhengyang a Saint King, but he also had 4 Saint King realm guardians. It could be said that they had no chance of survival. You want to die? Ha ha ha. In front of this consort, even if you want to die, it's not up to you. Feng Zhengyang laughed. His eyes were filled with coldness. Go. Kill them all. Capture Princess Yunqing alive. As Feng Zhengyang waved his hand, the experts of the Wind Clan immediately pounced forward with a ferocious smile. The eyes of the experts of the Cloud Clan were filled with determination. They knew that they would not be able to escape this time, but they were determined to make the Wind Clan pay even if they had to self-destruct and die. Princess Yunqing's face was extremely pale. A silver dagger appeared in her hand. She wanted to commit suicide before Feng Zhengyang could capture her alive. Rumble. At that moment, the sky suddenly cracked open. A blazing and brilliant light bloomed, and a vast and unparalleled aura exploded. Immortal light filled the air, an auspicious air rose. Flowers fell from the sky, and golden lotuses bloomed from the ground. Among all kinds of mysterious phenomena, it was as if an ancient emperor had descended upon the wind cloud realm. From the crack in the sky, powerful auras swept across the sky like dazzling meteors. There were hundreds of thousands of auras that appeared above the void. That terrifying aura caused the surrounding space to tremble violently. The people of the Wind Clan and the Cloud Clan, who were preparing for the battle, couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with disbelief, and they couldn't help but want to kneel on the ground. This, an army of hundreds of thousands of saints? Who are they? How is this possible? Feng Zhengyang's entire body trembled as he exclaimed. He could tell at a glance that these people weren't from the Wind Cloud realm. That aura was unfamiliar and cold, and contained a monstrous killing intent. An army of hundreds of thousands of saints. Even the Wind Clan and the Cloud Clan combined didn't have that many saints. Especially the figure in the sky. Although he was shrouded in endless divine light and was blurry, one could tell that he was a young man. He was like a celestial emperor descending upon the mortal world. He was high and mighty, and exuded an invincible aura. Beside that figure stood an elder with white hair and a peerless beauty. The aura they exuded made Feng Zhengyang tremble. They were the 2 celestial venerables. Whoosh! Celestial Venerable Fen was like a stream of light. He instantly teleported hundreds of millions of miles and appeared above the experts of the Wind Clan and the Cloud Clan. Who can tell me where the Emperor of the Wind Cloud realm is? Celestial Venerable Fen said lightly. His gaze fell on the people of the Wind and Cloud Clan. It was incomparably deep, as if he could see through them. Who are you? Why are you looking for my ancestor? Feng Zhengyang mustered up his courage and asked. His eyes were filled with incomparable sharpness. Oh, that emperor is actually your ancestor? That's even easier. My master has taken a fancy to the Wind Cloud realm. Why don't you bring us to your ancestor and let him submit to my master? Celestial Venerable Fen smiled faintly. What? Feng Zhengyang was not the only one. Everyone from the Wind Clan was shaken as well. They all glared at him furiously. Although they were wary of this group of uninvited guests, the monarch emperor ancestor of the Wind Clan was the faith of the entire Wind Clan. He was also the strongest expert of the Wind Clan and the Wind Cloud realm. It was this monarch emperor ancestor that confirmed the supreme status of the Wind Clan in the Wind Cloud realm. Even the Cloud Clan had suffered great losses and could only struggle at death's door. You've taken a fancy to the Wind Cloud realm? Make the emperor ancestor of the Wind Clan submit? Who? Who is he? Princess Yunqing's beautiful eyes flickered. She opened her cherry mouth in surprise as she looked at the figure in the sky who believed in Ling Xiao. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2750. How dare you? Do you think you can make my ancestor submit to you? I advise you to get out of the Fengyun realm if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, when my ancestor comes out of seclusion, you will all die. Feng Zhengyang said sternly but weakly. Even though he was afraid, he was facing a celestial venerable after all, and there was an army of hundreds of thousands of saints above him. However, he still scolded them, hoping to scare them away. Moreover, these people had broken through the realm, and their momentum was so great that many of the Feng clan's experts and even the Emperor Realm ancestor had already noticed them. Soon, they would arrive at the Feng Yun realm. Although there was an army of hundreds of thousands of saints, Feng Zhenyang was still very confident in his Emperor Realm ancestor. An imperial emperor was a supreme expert who had touched upon the Emperor Realm. Although he was not as strong as a true great emperor, he was not someone a mere Saint Dao expert could contend against. Even an army of hundreds of thousands of saints could be destroyed by an Emperor Realm expert. Little guy, you might not know who my master is. So what if he's an emperor? It's his honor to be able to submit to my master. Since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, I can only search your soul and go find your Emperor Realm ancestor. Fen Tianzun sighed softly. His gaze fell on Feng Zhengyang, and it instantly became incomparably cold. Venerable Fen Tianzun, the former Saint King Fen Tianzun, was not a kind person. If it wasn't for the fact that he had followed Feng Zhengyang to battle in the north and had restrained himself a little, he probably wouldn't have said a single word to Feng Zhengyang. He would have just killed him and searched his soul. However, Feng Zhengyang's threat made Fen Tianzun lose his confidence. Protect the third prince. The experts of the Feng clan immediately protected Feng Zhengyang, especially the four guardians of Feng Zhengyang. They exuded an extremely powerful aura, and their eyes were full of vigilance. The four guardians were all peak Saint Kings. If they worked together, they could even fight a supreme Saint King. However, they had no confidence in facing Fen Tianzun. With just you. Venerable Fen Tianzun sneered and then slapped down. Boom! As his palm fell, the surrounding wind and clouds surged. Endless origin energy gathered and turned into a mountainous palm, enveloping everyone from the Feng clan. Kill! The four protectors roared furiously and unleashed all of their cultivation bases, charging forward to kill Qin Wentian. The powerhouses of the Feng clan unleashed powerful offensive divine abilities, transforming into torrents that soared into the sky in an attempt to shatter Fen Tianzun's palm print. And the four protectors trembled violently as if they had been struck by lightning. They coughed up blood as they were sent flying. Before they could do anything, a blazing flame rose from Fen Tianzun's palm and enveloped them in an instant. The flames were like maggots in the bones. They began to burn fiercely. Even though the four guardians were Saint Kings, they couldn't extinguish the flames. Screams were endless. The expressions of the people from the Yun clan changed drastically. The four guardians were soon turned into ashes in the flames. In the blink of an eye, many experts of the Feng clan, including the four guardians, died in the hands of Fen Tianzun. Only Feng Zhengyang was left. If Fen Tianzun didn't deliberately keep Feng Zhengyang alive, he would probably be dead by now. They're all dead. Feng Zhengyang's mind went blank. His eyes were filled with deep fear. Only now did he realize that the celestial venerable in front of him was a peerless ruthless person. He didn't care about the so-called imperial emperor's threat. He didn't care about the Feng clan at all. Even the people from the Yun clan couldn't help but step back. They distanced themselves, afraid of being affected. They looked at Fen Tianzun with reverence. Could these people be from the other greater thousand worlds? Are they trying to invade the Feng Yun realm? The Feng Yun realm is in danger. Princess Yunqing's eyes were filled with worry. She wasn't happy about the Feng clan's experts being destroyed at all. Because she realized that these people were all invaders from other worlds. Not only the Feng clan, but the Yun clan would also be doomed. Moreover, after these people entered the Feng Yun realm, they didn't hide at all. They even asked the Feng clan's imperial emperor ancestor to submit. This meant that they had the courage to deal with an imperial emperor. Could it be that this mysterious master is also a powerful imperial emperor? Princess Yunqing raised her head and looked at the figure of Faith Ling Xiao. She was extremely shocked. Whoosh! Fen Tianzuan grabbed Feng Zhengyang's neck like an eagle grabbing a chick and lifted him up. The powerful primordial spirit power rushed into Feng Zhengyang's forehead without restraint and began to search his soul. Although Feng Zhenyang was the third prince of the Feng clan and his primordial spirit was protected by a supreme treasure, he couldn't resist the invasion of a celestial venerable. Soon, Fen Tianzuan found the information he wanted from Feng Zhengyang's primordial spirit sea. Fen Tianzuan grabbed Feng Zhenyang and flew back to Faith Ling Xiao. Master, I've found out. The most powerful clans in the Feng Yun realm are the Feng clan and the Yun clan. The Feng clan has an imperial emperor ancestor who just broke through to the imperial emperor realm a few hundred years ago. The Yun clan doesn't have an imperial emperor, but they have 4 celestial venerables. Fen Tianzuan respectfully reported the news of the Feng Yun realm to Faith Ling Xiao. Master, are we going to kill the Feng clan now? Bai Linglong asked. Although she didn't know how Faith Ling Xiao was going to deal with the Feng clan's imperial emperor ancestor, she believed in Faith Ling Xiao. A mere Feng Yun realm couldn't stop Faith Ling Xiao's footsteps. No need. They're already here. Faith Ling Xiao said indifferently. His gaze was incomparably deep as he looked at the void in the distance. Rumble. The void shook violently as a vast and unparalleled aura erupted. From the east and west sides of the Fengyun mountain range, 2 resplendent balls of light came across the sky. They emitted green light and white light respectively, enveloping a group of figures with terrifying auras. The people of the Feng clan and the Yun clan had arrived at the same time. The 4 celestial venerables of the Yun clan had all arrived, leading dozens of Saint King realm experts. Their terrifying auras covered the sky as if they could shatter the void in all directions. Hundreds of figures with terrifying auras came from the Feng clan. They were all Saint King realm experts. Among them, there were 2 celestial venerables, a man and a woman. The man was handsome and elegant, wearing a dragon robe. The woman was beautiful and wore a phoenix robe. She looked like a mother of the world. However, these 2 celestial venerables weren't in charge. In front of them, there was a boy in a blood-red robe. He looked about 7 or 8 years old and was very cute. However, his eyes were extremely cruel and crazy, containing bloodthirsty killing intent and a trace of indifference as if he viewed all living beings in the world as ants. Chapter 2751. Whether it was the 2 heavenly venerables of the Wind clan or the 4 heavenly venerables of the Cloud clan, they all looked at the blood-robed boy with awe. This was because the blood-robed boy was the imperial emperor ancestor of the Wind clan. People called him Ancestor Shui Pao. He was cruel and bloodthirsty, and his strength was terrifying. Save me, Ancestor! Feng Zhenyang's eyes were filled with excitement as soon as he saw Patriarch Shui Pao, and he quickly yelled. Although Fen Tianzuan had searched his soul, it didn't cause too much damage to him. It only injured his primordial spirit a little, so he was still conscious. I don't care who you are. Let me go first, then kneel down and admit your guilt. I can leave your corpses intact. Ancestor Shui Pao's expression turned gloomy when he saw Feng Zhenyang. He stared coldly at Faith Ling Xiao, Fen Tianzuan, and Bai Linglong. Although he was short and looked like a child, he had an invincible and domineering attitude when he stood in the air with his hands behind his back. Fen Tianzuan and Bai Linglong felt chills run down their spines when they were stared at by Ancestor Shui Pao. It was as if they were being stared at by a venomous snake. Your Ancestor Shui Pao. What a pity. Faith Ling Xiao's gaze fell on Ancestor Shui Pao. His eyes were calm as he spoke faintly. What's a pity? Ancestor Shui Pao's gaze turned cold as he stared at Faith Ling Xiao. Faith Ling Xiao exuded an incomparably holy aura. His body was glowing and contained boundless power. He was like a heavenly emperor walking in the mortal world, capable of propping up the heaven and earth. People couldn't help but feel reverence and faith in him. Faith Ling Xiao's aura made Ancestor Shui Pao feel extremely disgusted. Ancestor Shui Pao could see that Faith Ling Xiao was the leader of this group of outsiders. Faith Ling Xiao's cultivation seemed unfathomable. Even he couldn't see through Faith Lingxiao's cultivation. Unfortunately, you've just broken through to the Imperial Emperor realm. You haven't even stabilized your first heaven Imperial Emperor realm cultivation. It's a waste to kill you. Faith Lingxiao sighed softly. Kill me? Ha ha ha. You? Although I don't know what secret technique you've cultivated to hide your cultivation, you definitely haven't reached the Saint King realm. You think you can kill me? You don't know what Imperial Emperor realm is. You don't know what true power is. Ancestor Shui Pao laughed as if he heard a joke Lingxiao's words. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Faith Lingxiao's words Lingxiao. Ancestor Shui Pao. Shui Pao's ancestor Shui Pao. Shui Pao Pao was. Ancestor Shui Pao Pao. Shui Pao Pao of Pao and I Pao Pai Pao realm. Clan of clan, Pao clan. Shui Pao Pao was the Papao Shui Pao Pious, you? Them oh boy. I think you're dreaming. Brat, don't try to act mysterious in front of this old man. However, you actually have a trace of heavenly Tao luck on your body. The heavens are really helping me. Wait until this old man devours your blood essence and fuses with your heavenly Tao luck. Perhaps not only will I be able to stabilize my cultivation at the first heavenly layer, I might even be able to advance to the next heavenly layer. Patriarch Shui Pao stared at Faith's soaring firmament, his eyes filled with greed. Patriarch Shui Pao noticed that Faith Lingxiao had a sliver of heavenly Tao fortune. As a great emperor, he was able to see the heavenly Tao fortune in the unseen world. Greed immediately welled up in his heart. The providence of the heavenly Tao was a good thing. It was a supreme treasure that even imperial emperors could only come across by luck. You're courting death. He actually wanted the patriarch to submit? Even if it's an army of hundreds of thousands of sages, they're nothing in my eyes. The dragon-robed man from the Wind Clan said indifferently. He was the patriarch of the Wind Clan. His strength was unfathomable. He had already broken through to the heavenly venerable realm for many years. No one knew better than him how terrifying an imperial emperor was. With this army of hundreds of thousands, if we devour their blood essence and primordial spirit, the patriarch's blood sea scripture will rise to another level. The phoenix-robed woman said with a smile. Although they were extremely surprised by the sudden appearance of these outsiders in the wind cloud realm, they were still shocked. However, they saw that there were only two heavenly venerables and Faith's soaring firmament was so young. Although they couldn't see through his strength, they assumed that his cultivation wouldn't be too high. In their opinion, these people who dared to provoke the Wind Clan were already dead. Patriarch, what should we do? These people don't seem to have good intentions, especially that young man. He's so calm in front of Patriarch Shui Pao. Does he really have the strength to fight against Patriarch Shui Pao? On the Cloud Clan's side, a heavenly venerable elder of the Cloud Clan whispered to the Patriarch of the Cloud Clan. Let's wait and see. This young man is indeed extraordinary, but Patriarch Shui Pao isn't so easy to deal with. Otherwise, hundreds of thousands of our clansmen wouldn't have died at the hands of Patriarch Shui Pao. He even devoured their blood essence and primordial spirits to cultivate the blood sea scripture. The patriarch of the Cloud Clan was a middle-aged woman. She wore a palace robe and looked dignified and generous. She exuded a mature aura, but there was a trace of deep resentment and helplessness in her eyes. Patriarch Shui Pao of the Wind Clan was extremely vicious, but his strength was incomparably terrifying. No one in the Wind Cloud realm could stop him. Others might not know, but the Cloud Clan knew very well how Patriarch Shui Pao broke through. In order to break through to the Imperial Emperor realm, Patriarch Shui Pao set off an endless massacre in the Wind Cloud realm. He killed hundreds of millions of people and used their blood essence and primordial spirits to forge his white bone great path that led to the Imperial Emperor realm. Even hundreds of thousands of the Cloud Clan members died at the hands of Patriarch Shui Pao. In the eyes of the Cloud Clan, Patriarch Shui Pao was a complete madman. What a pity. I gave you a chance and you didn't cherish it. You can only die. Faith soaring firmament sighed softly. Boy, you think you can do it? Since you're so reckless. When I catch you, I'll let you have a taste of my means. I'll make you beg for death. Patriarch Schwepao sneered, and a trace of cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Rumble. There seemed to be hundreds of millions of blood-red lights blooming around his body, gathering in the hollow of his palm, condensing into a blood-red palm, exuding a monstrous smell of blood, sweeping across the sky towards Faith Ling Xiao and the others to suppress them. Patriarch Schwepao struck out with his palm. It was as if a blazing sea of blood was boiling, and a terrifying aura erupted from it. That was the power of the Emperor Realm. It could destroy all life. Chapter 2752. As soon as the Imperial Emperor made his move, the terrifying energy fluctuation caused all the celestial venerables present to change their expressions drastically. Their eyes revealed an incomparably solemn look. This was the power of the Imperial Realm. This was the power of the Great Tao Origin. Celestial venerables were still saint rulers. They were called Celestial Venerables because they had comprehended the Great Tao Origin to the Great Tao Origin. However, the Imperial Realm was another realm. The Great Tao Origin was also the origin of power. Only by comprehending the Great Tao Origin could one step into the Supreme Emperor Realm. Patriarch Schwepao was able to step into the Imperial Emperor Realm because he comprehended the Blood Tao Origin. However, all the celestial venerables present knew that the gap between them and the Imperial Emperor Realm was like heaven and earth. Even if they joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for Patriarch Schwepao. How could Faith Ling Xiao resist such a powerful force? The two celestial venerables of the Wind Clan sneered. They were full of confidence in Patriarch Schwepao. The four celestial venerables of the Cloud Clan were nervous. No matter who won this battle, it wouldn't be a good thing for the Cloud Clan. As for Celestial Venerable Fun and Bai Ling Long, although they were full of confidence in Faith Ling Xiao, they couldn't help but feel a little nervous at this moment. This was the first Imperial Emperor Realm powerhouse they had encountered since conquering the heavens. This was also the first time Faith Ling Xiao had made a move. They were looking forward to Faith Ling Xiao's move. Patriarch Schwepao, in the name of the Heavenly Tao, I kill you. Faith Ling Xiao said faintly. His calm voice entered everyone's ears. Boom! Then, Faith Ling Xiao's body shone with golden light. The dazzling golden light looked like it was cast in gold. The mighty faith power surged and burned like a golden flame. Faith Ling Xiao raised his palm and lightly slammed it down toward Patriarch Schwepao. The palm print was very light. It was so light that many celestial venerables felt that Faith Ling Xiao had given up resisting, as if he was at Patriarch Schwepao's mercy. However, the palm print looked very strange. It was crystal clear and dazzling golden light, as if it didn't exist in this time and space. It contained a kind of transcendent power. Rumble. The two palm prints collided in the void. The earth-shattering collision that everyone had imagined didn't happen. They only saw the blood-colored palm print shatter, turning into a bloody light that drifted down. Faith Ling Xiao's palm continued to fall towards Ancestor Schwepao and the people of the Feng clan. Blazing golden light rose, and a sacred and mysterious power bloomed. The palm print seemed to have expanded in an instant, turning into a supreme mountain that was billions of miles tall. On top of the mountain, there were the chants of all living beings, the chants of the ancient people, the marks of all living beings in the universe, and the purest faith and psyche power. The palm print they formed was heavier than the mountain and indestructible, as if it could break through everything in this world. What? The blood-robed elder's body shook violently, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. However, the palm print had already landed on Patriarch Schwepao. It was as if it had completely locked onto him. Patriarch Schwepao trembled all over. There was no room for him to dodge at all. His eyes were filled with intense fear. Bang! Patriarch Schwepao's figure exploded in the void. Then, the two celestial masters of the Feng clan and the hundreds of saint kings of the Feng clan all exploded in the void like a dazzling rain of light. Then, they disappeared in an instant. An Imperial Emperor powerhouse, two heavenly venerables powerhouses, and hundreds of sage kings were directly wiped out. It was as if they had never appeared. How is this possible? Everyone from the Yun clan was completely stunned. The scene in front of them made them tremble uncontrollably. They looked at Faith Ling Xiao with intense fear in their eyes. Especially the four celestial masters. They had imagined that Faith Ling Xiao would be killed by ancestor Xue Pao with a single slap. They had also imagined that Faith Ling Xiao's strength was unparalleled and that he would have an intense battle with ancestor Xue Pao. In the end, both of them would be severely injured, and in the end, ancestor Xue Pao would be killed. However, they had never imagined such an outcome. The powerful, bloodthirsty, crazy, and terrifying ancestor Xue Pao was wiped out by Faith Ling Xiao with a single slap. What kind of terrifying combat strength was this? Could it be that they believed that Ling Xiao was a supreme emperor? That scared me to death. Master is actually so strong. Fen Tianzuan was also trembling. His eyes were filled with reverence and fanaticism. This result also gave him a big fright. He watched with his own eyes as Faith Ling Xiao started cultivating from the Saint Realm. As they conquered the 9 major worlds and subdued trillions of living beings, those trillions of living beings began to worship Ling Xiao, providing him with a vast amount of faith power. He could no longer see through Faith Ling Xiao's cultivation base. However, he had never thought that Faith Ling Xiao could kill ancestor Xue Pao with a single slap. Master is invincible. Now, I'm more and more convinced that Master is the master of destiny. Bai Linglong said with fanaticism in her eyes. Faith Ling Xiao didn't seem to be affected at all after killing ancestor Xue Pao with a single slap. His gaze fell on the 4 celestial masters of the Yun clan. The 4 celestial masters of the Yun clan instantly felt their bodies stiffen. They lowered their heads slightly, not daring to look at Faith Ling Xiao. Yun clan, do you choose to submit or die? Faith Ling Xiao said faintly. However, his voice was like a curse of death to the Yun clan. Instantly, the faces of the Yun clan revealed an incomparably terrified expression. The 4 celestial masters of the Yun clan, in particular, had extremely ugly expressions. Faith Ling Xiao's gaze was like hundreds of millions of mountains, making them feel endless pressure. Finally, the patriarch of the Yun clan walked out respectfully and bowed to Faith Ling Xiao. Master, the Yun clan is willing to submit. Her voice was trembling and even contained a trace of unwillingness. However, she knew that this was the only choice. Even ancestor Xue Pao was killed by Faith Ling Xiao with a single slap. She didn't think that the Yun clan had any chance of resisting. If they didn't submit, they would die. They could only submit. Very well. You will be grateful for this choice in the future. Now, hand over your origin spirit imprints. Faith Ling Xiao said faintly. Although the 4 celestial masters of the Yun clan were very unwilling, they had no choice but to hand over their origin spirit imprints and watch Faith Ling Xiao fuse them into his body. From then on, their life and death depended on a single thought from Faith Ling Xiao. Fen Tian, Linglong, I'll leave the Feng Yun realms matters to you. Provide the power of faith as soon as possible. We still suffered a great loss in this battle. Faith Ling Xiao transmitted his voice to Fen Tian and Bai Linglong. There was a trace of deep fatigue in his voice. Everyone saw how he casually killed ancestor Xue Pao and everyone from the Feng clan. However, they didn't know that Faith Ling Xiao had also paid a great price. The price was that the power of faith of hundreds of millions of living beings in the 9 great thousand worlds was completely consumed by Faith Ling Xiao's palm. The power of faith was the source of Faith Ling Xiao's cultivation and power. With all the power of faith used up, he was now just an empty shell. Any saint could probably kill him. The 4 celestial masters of the Yun clan were scared out of their wits by Faith Ling Xiao, so they had no choice but to submit. If they knew that Faith Ling Xiao was just for show, who knows what kind of expression they would have. Although the price of killing ancestor Xue Pao was too great, Faith Ling Xiao also proved one thing. As long as there was enough power of faith, perhaps even a great emperor could be killed. P.S. The 4th update is over. Everyone, rest early. 3rd Sect Master. Chapter 2753. Wind Cloud Realm. Faith Ling Xiao was hidden in the void of the Wind Cloud Realm. Wisps of faith power gathered around him and merged into his body. He didn't seem to be in a good state. Dense cracks like a spider web appeared all over his body, and his aura became dispirited. Although the power of faith gathered and began to repair his damaged body, the recovery was very slow. The power of faith accumulated by the 9 boundless worlds allowed him to kill Patriarch Xue Pao with one palm strike. Although it looked very easy, the consumption was incomparably huge. The current Faith Ling Xiao needed a lot of power of faith to repair his body and heal his injuries. The entire Wind Cloud Realm was already in the hands of Faith Ling Xiao. The most powerful Wind Clan was annihilated. Patriarch Xue Pao and the 2 celestial venerables were killed. The remaining people couldn't do anything. Soon, they were flattened by Fen Tianzuan and by Ling Long. The 4 celestial venerables of the Cloud Clan had offered their primordial spirit imprints, so they naturally obeyed Faith Ling Xiao. Together with the hundreds of thousands of saints, they quickly swept through the entire Wind Cloud Realm. In the Wind Cloud Realm, countless Ling Xiao divine halls and temples were built to worship Ling Xiao's statue. Billions of creatures began to worship Ling Xiao, providing an endless stream of power of faith. The Wind Cloud Realm was an incomparably prosperous boundless world with trillions of creatures. It was comparable to the other 9 boundless worlds and could provide a huge amount of power of faith. Moreover, there were many ancient ruins in the Wind Cloud Realm, and there were also incomparably rich treasures. Faith Ling Xiao and his subordinates temporarily stationed themselves in the Wind Cloud Realm. Faith Ling Xiao needed the majestic power of faith to heal his injuries. At the same time, he also needed to digest the resources of the Wind Cloud Realm, integrate the army of powerhouses, and strengthen his subordinates. Ling Xiao was refining the Great Desolation's heart, Darkness Ling Xiao was comprehending the Chaos Ancient Scripture, and Faith Ling Xiao was fighting for hegemony. They were a trinity, but they each had their own duties. They were accumulating strength, waiting for the day when they would make the myriad worlds tremble. 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. In these 100 years, the myriad worlds became turbulent, and the battles between the major races became more and more intense. Originally, due to the existence of the world barrier, there were very few interactions between the various worlds other than a few absolute powerhouses. Also, very few powerhouses would go to other worlds. After all, the great Tao laws of each world were different. Forcefully passing through the world barrier would result in great suppression. Therefore, even though there was no great emperor in the divine realm, with the existence of the world barrier, even the devil realm did not invade the divine realm on a large scale. There were only some small-scale battles in places like the battlefield of gods and devils. However, in the past 100 years, even those with very weak cultivations could sense that the world had changed greatly. The most obvious change was that the world barrier had weakened. The suppression of the great Tao laws had also weakened. There would often be invasions by experts from other worlds. In order to seize control of the world and obtain powerful resources, intense battles would erupt. It could be said that the smoke of war rose from all over the universe, and it became more and more chaotic. This was especially so for the divine world. It was the core of the universe and the place where the Epoch Master resided. It possessed the most vast land and the most abundant resources. It had even become a place that countless experts coveted. Other than the Devil Realm, the various major races in the universe sent experts to sneak into the divine world. Some wanted to spy on the actual situation of the divine world, some wanted to seize the treasures of the divine world, and some wanted to instigate the upper echelons of the human race. This caused the divine world to be filled with smoke of war, and there were small-scale battles breaking out everywhere. Some devil cultivators and heretic cultivators in the divine world also took the opportunity to cause mischief, slaughtering living beings, and causing the divine world to be in a mess. The 12 immortal sacred grounds of the divine world, as well as the various great emperor races and ancient races, began to take action. They launched thunderous operations to kill the heretic cultivators and devil cultivators who were causing trouble. There were also several large-scale battles with the devil realm. In such large-scale battles, some powerful human skyprides gradually emerged. The saints and saintesses of the various immortal sacred grounds, as well as the princes of the great emperor races, began to shine brightly. They were called the hope of the human race. As for the shocking battle at the Ling Shao mountain range 200 years ago, it was gradually forgotten. The name Ling Shao had even become a taboo in the divine world. Many people thought that Ling Shao was already dead. This heaven's chosen one was once as dazzling as the sun. He was a peerless figure who dominated the world and made all the skyprides and experts in the divine world pale in comparison. However, he had been buried by time. This was an era of great battles. This was also the most tragic and most glorious epoch in the history of the myriad of worlds. Everyone wanted to be like the heavenly emperor of the past, who dominated the world and slaughtered great emperors as if they were dogs. He ruled over an era and led his race to the top to become the lord of the era. In the divine world, there were even a few peerless figures who broke through to the next realm in a short 100 years. They became the kings of their generation and led their peers. They became the targets of worship for countless young people. In this short 100 years, the human race was filled with vitality. The human race also had great enthusiasm and hope for them. They all thought that they would have the chance to lead the human race to the top again, just like the 9 emperors of the human race. Divine World, Shangqing Ancient City. Shangqing Ancient City was located in the Shangqing Heavenly Domain. Legend had it that a great emperor of the human race walked out from this place. However, Shangqing Ancient City was located at the intersection of Shangqing Heavenly Domain, Yuqing Heavenly Domain, and Taiqing Heavenly Domain. Its location was very special. Therefore, business was very developed. It became a place for countless experts to trade and communicate. Shangqing Ancient City was very prosperous. There were all kinds of shops on both sides of the wide streets. It was said that even the 12 immortal sacred grounds had left their branches in Shangqing Ancient City. As for the power behind Shangqing Ancient City, it was very mysterious. However, it was said that the 5 Elements Saint sect once wanted to occupy Shangqing Ancient City. In the end, they were rejected and could only accept the existence of Shangqing Ancient City. Shangqing Restaurant was located in the center of Shangqing Ancient City. It had 9 floors and looked very elegant and exquisite. Countless people with powerful auras walked into Shangqing Restaurant one after another, making the business of Shangqing Restaurant very lively. In the hall on the 3rd floor, there were hundreds of tables. At this moment, all of them were filled with people. Everyone was talking with each other about the recent events in the divine world. Near the window, a young man dressed in white was drinking by himself. His temperament was extraordinary, but his figure seemed to have a trace of vicissitudes of life. The wine was the best God's nectar. The dishes were the most expensive divine beast meat, rare and precious fruits, and immortal spiritual vegetables. This table of food and wine cost at least 10,000 origin dawn. Although the crowd couldn't see the cultivation of this young man in white, judging from the table of food and wine, they knew that this young man's cultivation must be extraordinary. Many people frequently glanced at him. However, the young man in white didn't seem to care about the surrounding gazes. He lowered his head and drank by himself. His ears moved slightly as he listened to the discussions of the people in the restaurant. Chapter 2754. Have you heard? 3 months ago, Heavenly King Ling, Yi Liangchen, and one of the 3 kings of the Chinese, Hua Huaxiong, fought in the Sunset Mountains. Yi Liangchen killed Hua Huaxiong, which infuriated the Chinese. They sent out 4 supreme elders to kill Yi Liangchen. Brother, this is something that happened 3 months ago. You just found out about it? I heard that the 4 supreme elders of the Chinese tried to kill Yi Liangchen. Not only did Yi Liangchen not die, but he also escaped to an ancient ruin. His strength has increased tremendously. That's strange. Why is Yi Liangchen so arrogant? How dare he provoke the Chinese? The Chinese have the bloodline of Emperor Tiandu. They are as powerful as the immortal sanctuary. Although Yi Liangchen is a Tao-proving holy king, he is courting death. You don't know about this, right? Hee, I heard that Heavenly King Ling, Yi Liangchen, claimed that he was Ling Xiao's younger brother and wanted to avenge Ling Xiao. So, he killed Hua Huaxiong as soon as he broke through to the Saint King stage. Ling Xiao. Sure. Do you want to die? That name is taboo in the realm of the gods. If the immortal sanctuaries and supreme emperor tribes hear about it, you're dead meat. Hee, what are you afraid of? This is Shangqing ancient city. No matter how arrogant the immortal sanctuaries are, they can't stop me from speaking. Speaking of that taboo character, it's such a pity. If he didn't die, he could be called a king now, right? That person dominated the world and made all the geniuses in the realm of the gods pale in comparison. Yeah, it's such a pity for such a peerless character. However, the war god temple is in big trouble. The Supreme Tao Palace is also targeted by the other immortal sanctuaries. It's really difficult for them to move forward. Especially the war god temple. Many of their disciples have died. They will be targeted by the other immortal sanctuaries when they train outside. However, it's said that the war god temple has two kings. I think they are King Pangu and Heavenly King Bai. King Pangu is Pangu's celestial body, right? It's said that the Chinese have been pressuring the war god temple to hand over Pangu's celestial body, but the war god temple never agreed. It's said that Pangu's celestial body is the bloodline of Pangu. You can't say that. If the Chinese know about it, people will die. However, that Heavenly King Bai is the mount of that forbidden figure, right? It was said that many geniuses wanted to capture Heavenly King Bai and become his new master. However, Heavenly King Bai was very wretched. With the greater teleportation technique, he would often escape without a trace after obtaining the benefits. Those prodigies and kings have set traps for it several times, but it has always escaped. Hee, the divine world is really becoming more and more chaotic. In the era of great competition, kings compete for supremacy. I wonder who will be the fish that leaps over the dragon gate. Who will be the true king and be crowned as the emperor? In the Shangqing restaurant, experts from the Grand Pure Sky Domain, Jade Pure Sky Domain, and Shangqing Domain had gathered. These experts were discussing the recent events in the divine world. Did Yi Liangchen become Heavenly King Ling? An eldest senior brother Tian Gang, that bastard by Long Ma, also broke through to the Saint King realm? But, the Chinese really deserve to die. The young man in white sitting by the window softly muttered to himself. His expression was indifferent and calm, and there was a glimmer in his eyes. He was Ling Xiao. In the Chaos Secret Realm, he had spent more than 100 years to refine the Chaos Heart and completely control the Chaos Secret Realm. Now, he was back. 100 years had passed in the blink of an eye. The divine world was still the divine world, but Ling Xiao was no longer the same Ling Xiao. Now, he was no longer at the mercy of the immortal sacred land. He had the power and momentum to stir up chaos in the world. Ling Xiao did not expect that it would take so long to refine the Chaos Heart. However, he had also gained a lot. The Chaos Heart was indeed an unimaginable fortune and opportunity. It was no wonder that the celestial race's highness was so calculative to obtain the Chaos Heart. After leaving the Chaos Secret Realm, Ling Xiao's heart was filled with longing. He wanted to see Jin Se, Shui Wei, and those old friends that he had been separated from for a long time. The Heavenly Majesty was like a prison. There were no coordinates of the divine world in the stone tablet, so he could not directly open a void passage. Ling Xiao left the demon world and entered the universe. He went against the current and returned to the divine world. He did not return to the war god temple immediately. Instead, he stopped in Shangqing ancient city to inquire about the current situation in the divine world. Unexpectedly, not long after he sat down in Shangqing restaurant, he heard the news of many old friends. Have you heard? Huadijie, one of the 3 kings of the Hua clan, has led the 4 supreme elders of the Hua clan to set up the sky-sealing absolute earth formation in the Dragon Abyss mountain range not far away. He has trapped Heavenly King Bai and wants to capture him as a mount. This time, Heavenly King Bai is doomed. Suddenly, a voice sounded in the restaurant, instantly causing an uproar in Shangqing restaurant. What? Everyone's body trembled, and their eyes revealed an incomparably shocked expression. Heavenly King Bai is a mutant of the Chaos World. He has the bloodline of the Pegasus and the Dragon Clan. He can move the heavens and is extremely cunning. This time, he was actually trapped by Huadijie. Let's go and take a look. This is going to be interesting. Someone said excitedly. Hee, I'm afraid Heavenly King Bai is doomed this time. If Huadijie really captures Heavenly King Bai and becomes his master, then Huadijie will probably become one of the top kings in the divine world. Moreover, the war god temple will also be slapped in the face by the Hua clan. Let's go, let's go. If we're late, we won't be able to watch the fun. Everyone said excitedly and left Shangqing restaurant one after another. Because of this sudden news, not only Shangqing restaurant, but also many people in Shangqing ancient city were excited and rushed out of the city. You want to capture the white dragon horse as a mount? Hua clan, have you asked me? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, but there was a trace of coldness in his eyes. He threw down a storage bag and disappeared silently from Shangqing restaurant as if he had never existed at all. However, at this time, everyone was attracted by this explosive news. No one noticed Ling Xiao at all. The Dragon Abyss mountain range was 100,000 miles away from Shangqing ancient city. For a Saint Path expert, a distance of 100,000 miles could be covered in a moment. The Longyuan mountain range was an extremely ancient mountain range with a radius of 10,000 miles. It was like a giant dragon lying dormant on the ground, emitting a vast aura. The Longyuan mountain range, which was usually deserted, was very lively today. Many figures with powerful cultivation came from the sky, wanting to see how the earthly king of the Hua clan, Huadijie, captured Heavenly King Bai, /7_. M. Chapter 2755. Rumble. In the middle of the Longyuan mountain range, a mountain peak was enveloped by a blazing and eye-catching array. The barrier formed by the array caused the surrounding space to distort, and it contained a terrifying and monstrous murderous intent. Above the mountain peak, 5 figures with powerful auras floated. One of them was a young man in a purple robe, and 4 of them were old men with white hair and beards. All of them were peak holy kings. 5 peak holy kings. Everyone looked at those 5 figures with eyes full of reverence. This was the foundation of the Emperor clan. They could casually bring out 5 great peak stage saint kings. Especially the young man in the purple robe. His face was like jade, and his figure was slender and handsome. His entire body was surrounded by purple light. His eyes were incomparably cold, and he had a superior attitude. He was one of the 3 kings of the Hua clan, the Earth King Huadijie. Dragon Horse, I advise you not to resist. This sealing heaven decimating formation is not something you can break. If you know what's good for you, submit to me and be my mount. Huadijie said indifferently. His voice was like thunder exploding in the void. On the mountain peak below, there was a white horse. It looked very handsome. Its entire body was as white as jade, without any impurities. Its entire body was emitting a bright and holy light. Its eyes were very intelligent, revealing a very human-like cunning look. Its cultivation had also reached the realm of Holy King. Its aura was extremely powerful, and the qi and blood around its body surged. It was majestic and mysterious. It was the white dragon horse. You Hua clan dregs want to trap me? I'm too lazy to break the formation, so I won't lower myself to your level. If you don't want to die, quickly open the formation. Otherwise, when I break the formation, I'll definitely set off a bloody storm and dig up all your ancestral graves. The white dragon horse sneered. You don't know what's good for you. Hua Dijie's eyes turned cold, revealing a trace of killing intent. The white dragon horse's words seemed to have completely enraged him, causing him to exude an incomparably terrifying aura. In an instant, from the great matrix of sealing sky and decimating earth below, beams of blazing sword light rose. They were incomparably swift and fierce. One after another, they slashed towards the white dragon horse. This white dragon horse was too cheap. Hua Dijie was extremely angry. Even the entire Chinese hated white dragon horse to the core. Not long ago, white dragon horse sneaked into the ancestral land of the Chinese and wanted to open the tomb of a Chinese ancestor. Although it was discovered in the end, white dragon horse escaped in an instant. Since the white dragon horse had dug up the ancestral graves, the Chinese people hated it so much that they wanted to tear the white dragon horse into pieces. This time, it was not easy for Hua Dijie to set up a trap and trap the white dragon horse in the sealing heaven decimating earth formation. If he could subdue it, he would make the white dragon horse his mount. If they couldn't be subdued, then they would be killed. What? Why was the little guy so impatient? Isn't it just that I almost robbed your ancestral tomb? Don't worry, I have 100 ways to enter your ancestral land. Next time, I will definitely rob all your ancestral tombs. The white dragon horse grinned, showing an expression that deserved a beating. Whoosh! Its figure was like a ghost, able to use extreme speed. The sword chi that filled the sky was teleported away by it in an instant. It couldn't even touch its shadow at all. This is the so-called Heavenly King Bai. Why do I feel that it's so cheap? Someone's eyes revealed a trace of suspicion. Brother, you might not know about Heavenly King Bai's past achievements. If you know, you will think that it's really cheap. A person next to him said. What do you mean? Hee, you don't know. Heavenly King Bai was the former mount of that taboo figure. Naturally, it was coveted by countless geniuses. They wanted to subdue it and make it their mount. However, Heavenly King Bai is very cunning and can use the great teleportation technique. Even if their cultivation is stronger than it, they can't catch up with it at all. In the past 100 years, Heavenly King Bai has visited the ancestral tombs of all the immortal sacred grounds except for the Supreme Tao Palace and the War God Temple. It has even visited the ancestral tombs of several great imperial clans. This bastard likes to rob tombs the most. It made the sacred grounds gnash their teeth in anger, but there was nothing they could do about it. The person next to him explained. Then this Heavenly King Bai is really unique. Everyone was a little speechless. Who would have thought that this guy, who looked so handsome and had the bloodline of the Dragon Clan and the Pegasus Clan, who was known as Heavenly King Bai, was actually so wretched, like a little hooligan in the mortal world. However, it seemed that it would not be so easy for Hua Dijie to subdue Heavenly King Bai. For elders, all of you attack together and suppress it. As long as it's still alive, when it falls into my hands, I will let it know what it means to beg for death. Hua Dijie's eyes were cold as he said coldly. Okay. Killing intent flashed in the eyes of the four great elders. The white dragon horse's words had angered them. After hearing Hua Dijie's orders, they did not hesitate and instantly pounced on the white dragon horse. Boom! The four great elders of the Chinese clan attacked at the same time. Like four resplendent divine rainbows, they locked onto the white dragon horse in an instant. Old thing, do you think you can kill me? The white dragon horse sneered. In an instant, it used the secret teleportation technique and directly teleported tens of thousands of feet away. Its speed was extremely fast. However, everyone could see that after the mountain was shrouded by the great formation of sealing sky decimating earth, it was only tens of thousands of feet wide, which limited the white dragon horse's range of movement. Although it had extreme speed, it could not use it at all. In the end, it could only fight the four great elders of the Chinese clan head-on. Boom! The white dragon horse dodged the attacks of two elders, but the other two elders charged directly at it, making it unable to dodge. It could only take their attacks head-on, and then it was directly blasted away. Bastard! The white dragon horse was so angry that it cursed. Its eyes were filled with incomparable anger. After all, it only had the cultivation of an ordinary saint king. Although its combat strength was extraordinary, it was still a little weak to fight against 4 peak saint kings at the same time, not to mention that Huadijie was watching from the side and did not make a move. Almost as soon as the battle began, the white dragon horse fell into a disadvantage. This fellow is still unforgiving with his words. However, it can't even break through a mere great formation. How embarrassing. Ling Xiao looked at the white dragon horse that was in a very sorry state, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he wanted to see how the white dragon horse would deal with it. After all, he knew that the white dragon horse had a lot of trump cards. If it was not a critical moment, it would not take out its trump cards so easily. Are you my daddy? Suddenly, Ling Xiao felt a small hand grabbing onto his clothes, and said to him in a childish voice. Ling Xiao turned around and saw a little girl of about 3 or 4 years old standing behind him. She looked like she was carved from jade and was very cute. However, her clothes were a little tattered and her little face was covered in dust. Her long eyelashes fluttered and her pair of eyes were as bright as gemstones, filled with innocence. Ling Xiao was instantly stunned. P.S. The 3rd update has ended. Everyone, rest early. /7_. Chapter 2756. The little girl raised her head. Although her face was covered in dust, one could still see that her big, watery eyes were filled with hope and surprise. Little girl, you must have mistaken me for someone else. Ling Xiao said with a gentle smile. However, for some reason, his heart suddenly trembled. He actually felt a sense of intimacy from this little girl, as if they were connected by blood. This little girl seemed to have some kind of strange connection with him. But you look exactly the same as my father. How can you not be my father? The little girl seemed to be a little aggrieved. Her crystal-like eyes dimmed as she carefully let go of Ling Xiao's clothes. She bit her lips, and her voice was choked with sobs. Little girl, who is your father? Ling Xiao's body trembled. He suddenly felt an inexplicable pain in his heart, as though he had lost a treasure. Seeing that the little girl was about to cry, he hurriedly comforted her softly. My father is called Ling Xiao. He is the most powerful person in the world. My mother said that he will be back very soon. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, the little girl's eyes instantly revealed an incomparably proud expression. Boom! It was as if something had exploded in Ling Xiao's head. Then your mother is, Ling Xiao's body trembled. A thought appeared in his mind, and his eyes revealed an incomparably nervous and excited expression. My mother is Jin Se. Uncle, do you know my mother? Then you must know where my father is, right? I miss him a lot. Can you tell my father that Changxing misses him a lot? The little girl tilted her head and looked at Ling Xiao expectantly. Jin Se. So your name is Changxing? My daughter, Ling Xiao, actually have a daughter. Ling Xiao's body trembled. He could no longer hold it in. He hugged the little girl in his arms, and his eyes blurred. This was his daughter. No wonder he felt that they were connected by blood. Changxing, was it because of the Changxing sect? Ling Xiao hugged Changxing tightly in his arms. He was incomparably excited, afraid that he would lose his most precious treasure if he let go. Are you really my father? The little girl could feel Ling Xiao's excitement and asked timidly. That's right. I'm your father, I'm Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao carried Changxing up with a gentle smile on his face. Father. Changxing looked at Ling Xiao in a daze. Her eyes were filled with joy. However, her little nose suddenly twitched and pearl-like tears fell from her eyes. Changxing, what's wrong? Ling Xiao was at a loss for a moment. He quickly asked softly. When he saw Changxing crying, his heart was filled with pain and pity. This was his little princess. Now, all of Ling Xiao's attention was on Changxing. Father, why haven't you come to see Changsheng? They all said that Changsheng was a wild child without a father and didn't play with Changsheng. They even scolded her mother. Father, don't leave Changsheng in the future, okay? Changsheng sobbed as she spoke pitifully. It was as though the more she spoke, the sadder she became. Her beautiful big eyes were covered with a layer of mist. She hugged Ling Xiao's neck tightly, afraid that Ling Xiao would disappear if she let go. Them? Who are they? My Changsheng is the cutest little princess in the world. Whoever dares to scold you, I'll kill his entire family. Changsheng, be good. It's my fault. I promise I won't leave Changsheng in the future. Murderous intent flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, surging to the heavens. Changsheng's words revealed a lot of information. When Ling Xiao saw Changsheng so sad, he wanted to kill all of them that Changsheng mentioned. Changsheng must have suffered a lot in the past few years. Ling Xiao patted Changsheng's head lovingly and patted her back gently. His gaze became soft and gentle, filled with happiness. This was his daughter, his and Jin Sei's daughter. Ling Xiao swore that he would take good care of Changsheng and never let her suffer again. Father, quickly go and save Uncle White Dragon Horse. Those bad people want to kill him. You can definitely save Uncle White Dragon Horse, right? Changsheng blinked her big eyes and looked at Ling Xiao hopefully. Don't worry, Changsheng. Uncle White Dragon Horse won't die. With father around, no bad people can hurt him. After we save Uncle White Dragon Horse, I'll bring you to find mother, okay? Ling Xiao smiled and said gently. Okay. I miss mother too. She asked Uncle White Dragon Horse to bring me to find father. If she knows that I've found father, mother will be very happy. Changsheng clapped her hands and said happily. Ling Xiao looked at Changsheng and smiled foolishly. It was as if Changsheng was the only one left in the world. Everyone else had been automatically ignored by Ling Xiao. This was Ling Xiao's daughter. The more Ling Xiao looked at her, the more he felt that Changsheng was very similar to him. She had a high nose bridge, cherry lips, curved eyebrows, big crystal-like eyes, and long eyelashes. Her eyes seemed to be able to speak. Changsheng's every frown and smile tugged at Ling Xiao's heartstrings. Ling Xiao had never been so worried about his gains and losses as he was now. If others knew that the decisive heaven's chosen one and the master of demons, the peerless genius, Ling Xiao, had such a smile, no one knew what they would think. But at this moment, Ling Xiao hugged Changsheng. His heart was filled with endless happiness and joy. Boom! The white dragon horse dodged the attacks of the 4 Chinese supreme elders and wanted to take the opportunity to teleport away. However, it was sent flying by Hua Dijie's punch. The white dragon horse let out a strange cry and looked very pathetic. Chinese, you despicable and shameless people. If you have the ability, let me go. I'll fight you for 300 rounds. Bullying me with numbers, what kind of ability is that? The white dragon horse shouted angrily. White Dragon King, I advise you not to waste your energy. Who doesn't know that you have the ability to teleport and have no integrity at all? If I let you go, I'm afraid you'll escape in an instant. If you know what's good for you, surrender obediently. Otherwise, only death awaits you. Hua Dijie sneered. Bastard! This prince's helpers have already arrived. If you don't release this prince's helpers will definitely slaughter all of you. The White Dragon King sneered. Helpers? Ha ha ha. What a joke. Who in this world dares to come and save you? The War God Temple and Taishang Dao Palace can't even protect themselves. There's no place for you in the entire divine realm. You can only live if you surrender to me obediently. Hua Dijie sneered. Is that so? At this moment, a faint voice sounded in the void. P.S. I have a social engagement tonight, so I drank a little too much. I only have one update left. Everyone, rest early. Chapter 2757. Ling Xiao carried Changsheng in one hand as he strolled in the air. He was dressed in a snow-white robe, his black hair flying in the wind. He was handsome and elegant, exuding an ethereal and otherworldly aura. Although one could not tell his cultivation level, he seemed to be the focus of heaven and earth. He attracted everyone's attention as soon as he appeared. Changsheng was in his arms. She blinked her big eyes and looked at the crowd timidly. She seemed to be shy, but her eyes were filled with curiosity. She hugged Ling Zhao's neck tightly, as if that was the only way to give her a sense of security. "Who are you? How dare you stand out?" When Hua Dijie saw Ling Zhao, he frowned slightly and his eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Although he could not see through Ling Zhao's cultivation level, he instinctively felt unhappy with Ling Zhao. The young man in front of him, whether it was his appearance or his aura, made him feel ashamed of his inferiority. Hua Dijie instinctively felt hostility in his heart. You! When the white dragon horse saw Ling Zhao, its body suddenly stiffened as if it had seen a ghost. Its eyes were wide open, and it stuttered. Its eyes were filled with surprise and disbelief. It did not expect it to be Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao had returned to the realm of the gods. "Heavenly King Bai, is this the savior you were talking about? And he has a child with him? Ha ha ha! What a joke!" Hua Dijie looked at the white dragon horse mockingly, his eyes full of disdain. Although he could not see through Ling Zhao's cultivation level, Ling Zhao was so young. His cultivation level should not be too high. After all, Hua Dijie knew almost all the kings of the younger generation in the realm of the gods, but Ling Zhao was a stranger. Who is this person? How dare he meddle in the affairs of the Chinese? He must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. Isn't that so? The three kings of the Chinese are notorious. Hua Dijie wants to capture Heavenly King Bai as his mount. Even the kings of the other immortal sacred grounds have to retreat. This kid is really reckless. Poor little girl. Such a cute little girl, too beautiful. I'm afraid she will die here because of this brat's recklessness. Everyone looked at Ling Zhao as if they were looking at a dead man. Their voices were cold and filled with mockery. The Chinese were the descendants of Emperor Tiandu. Although they had been living in seclusion in the Great Haven Law domain, they had erupted with an incomparably terrifying foundation in the past 100 years. Even some immortal sacred grounds couldn't compare to them. The Hua people had truly displayed the supreme majesty that an emperor clan should have. In addition, the Chinese people acted in an overbearing manner. The three kings of the Chinese people were like peerless geniuses, especially Heavenly King Hua Tiancheng, who was a top king. He was known as the leader of the younger generation, which made the Chinese people even more unstoppable. No one dared to offend the Chinese. Therefore, everyone was gloating over Ling Zhao's forceful appearance. As for why no one could recognize Ling Zhao. After all, in the hearts of the people in the divine realm, Ling Zhao had already died 200 years ago. Although Ling Zhao's reputation was illustrious and could suppress the world, those who had truly seen Ling Zhao were either dead or in closed-door cultivation. Almost none of the people in the Dragon Lake mountain range who came to watch the show had seen Ling Zhao before. In addition, Ling Zhao's current cultivation was unfathomable. He had changed the aura of his primordial spirit and cultivation fluctuation. Even those who had seen him before wouldn't be able to recognize him. Only the old bastard Bai Longma had been with Ling Zhao all the time. He couldn't be more familiar with Ling Zhao's aura, so he recognized Ling Zhao at a glance. The Chinese are so arrogant and overbearing. They openly besieged the people of the War God Temple. Aren't they afraid of offending someone they shouldn't offend? Ling Zhao said indifferently. His voice was very calm. His gaze fell on Hua Dijie as if he didn't put the people around him in his eyes. Hee, big brother, you don't know. The Chinese are used to being overbearing. They don't even put the other emperor clans and immortal sacred grounds in their eyes, let alone the War God Temple. However, big brother, you're someone they can't afford to offend. These guys don't even realize that they're about to die. What a bunch of idiots. The white dragon horse chuckled. Its eyes were filled with pride. He rolled his eyes and knew Ling Xiao's intention. Therefore, he didn't expose Ling Xiao's identity. However, Ling Xiao's appearance calmed him down, and he revealed a fearless expression. What a joke! 200 years ago, Ling Xiao had dominated the world. He had suppressed the geniuses of 10,000 worlds in the Heaven's Choice Convention and obtained the title of Heaven's Chosen Child. Furthermore, he had killed saints, great saints, and saint kings in the Ling Xiao mountain range with his half-saint cultivation. He had caused a reign of terror in the god world. In particular, the old monsters of the immortal sacred grounds were all shocked by Ling Xiao. How could a junior that they had never paid any attention to be so monstrous? However, fortunately, Ling Xiao died in the end by detonating the wordless heavenly book. Otherwise, if Ling Xiao was still alive, many immortal sacred grounds and emperor clans would be unable to sit still. Your heavenly king buys big brother. No matter who you are, you have to die today. What a joke. In the entire divine world, who can't be offended by the Chinese? Even if there is, it's definitely not you. Hua Dijie said with a murderous look. His eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. He locked onto Ling Xiao. Blazing destructive thunderbolts spread out from his palm. Daddy, this bad guy looks so fierce. He's so ugly, but he still comes out to scare people. Uncle Bai Longma said that such a bad guy will not be able to find a wife in the future. Even if he does find a wife, she will have children. Nothing. I forgot that there's nothing. Hee. Changshen glanced at Hua Dijie fearfully and whispered to Hua Dijie. But in the end, Changshen seemed to have forgotten. She scratched her little head embarrassedly and giggled. She was actually amused by herself. Hua Dijie smiled. Ling Xiao's forehead was instantly filled with black lines. He glared fiercely at the white dragon horse. What kind of nonsense is this bastard teaching me? My Changshen is so cute, but she's being led astray by Bai Longma. Ling Xiao couldn't help but shudder at the thought of how Long Outyen, who used to be so strong when he was young, ended up like this because he stayed with the old goat and the white dragon horse for a period of time. If Changshen became like Long Outyen, Ling Xiao would definitely beat Bai Longma to death. Cough cough. I didn't teach her this. Changshen secretly learned it when I was scolding those Chinese bastards. Bai Longma swallowed his saliva and smiled awkwardly. He had already seen the anger in Ling Xiao's eyes. He suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. His eyeballs rolled around as he quickly thought of how to escape from Ling Xiao's vicious beating. Chapter 2758. Hua Dijie was about to go crazy with anger. Changshen looked innocent, pure, and cute. Her pair of pure big eyes flashed, making even a hard-hearted person's heart soften instantly. However, those words came from the mouth of such a cute little girl, which made Hua Dijie almost vomit blood. If Ling Xiao and the white dragon horse said it, he would directly scold them back. But what could he do about such a little girl? He was the dignified king of earth, the pride of the Chinese. Could he lower himself to the level of a little girl? Yes. Hua Dijie was so angry that he couldn't care less. Kid, you've successfully angered me. And your lowly daughter, when I kill you, I'll definitely let your daughter know what the greatest fear and pain in the world is. Hua Dijie stared at Ling Xiao and Changshen with hatred. Daddy, I'm afraid. Changshen's face was a little pale. She hugged Ling Xiao's neck tightly, not daring to look at Hua Dijie's fierce face. Changshen, don't be afraid. Let Daddy deal with these bad guys. Ling Xiao patted Changshen's back and said gently. Then, his eyes turned cold as he stared at Hua Dijie and said, after today, there will be one less of the 3 Chinese kings. His clothes fluttered, and he looked ethereal like an emperor. Although he didn't reveal any aura, there was a power that made the world tremble. Everyone's expression changed. Was he going to make a move? You're courting death. Killing intent flashed in Hua Dijie's eyes, and he instantly pounced towards Ling Xiao. The reason why he said so much before was to test Ling Xiao's identity. After all, Ling Xiao had such a temperament and was respected by the White Dragon King as his big brother. He was probably not an ordinary person. Although Hua Dijie was arrogant, he was also extremely cautious in his heart. Unfortunately, he still couldn't see Ling Xiao's true identity until now. Since that was the case, he might as well stop testing and directly crush him. In the entire heavenly realm, when had the Chinese ever been afraid of anyone? Rumble. Blazing lightning rose around Hua Dijie's body. He was like the thunder god bathed in the thunderbolts all over the sky, blooming with dazzling light. A violet gold spear immediately appeared between Hua Dijie's hands. It was surrounded by endless lightning as if there was a lightning dragon coiling around it. In an instant, it pierced through the layers of space and stabbed towards Ling Xiao's forehead. Purple lightning dragon spear. Hiss. That was Hua Dijie's quasi-emperor weapon. According to legend, it was a supreme weapon personally refined by an imperial monarch, and it contained the soul of a primeval lightning dragon. It possessed peerless might. With the purple lightning thunder dragon spear in hand, even a supreme holy king would not be a match for Hua Dijie, right? Someone exclaimed, recognizing the origin of the purple gold spear in Hua Dijie's hand. This brat is dead for sure. What a pity for that little girl. Someone said regretfully. Some of the female cultivators in the surroundings didn't even dare to look. Their eyes were filled with pity. Changsheng, are you scared? Ling Xiao smiled gently at Changsheng as if he didn't see Hua Dijie coming over at all. Father, I'm not scared. You're the most powerful person in the world. The bad guys definitely can't hurt you. Although Changsheng's little face was pale, she still clenched her little fists and said crisply. Changsheng is so brave. Ling Xiao patted Changsheng's little head and said. Whoosh. As he spoke, the purple lightning dragon spear had already arrived in front of Ling Xiao. The lightning that filled the sky rushed towards them like a vast sea. The blazing lightning contained an aura that could destroy the world, as if it was about to completely drown Ling Xiao and Changsheng in an instant. Ling Xiao didn't look back. The corners of his eyes were full of smiles. His gaze had been fixed on Changsheng, and he just lightly slapped out. This slap was very casual, as if he was chasing away a fly beside him. Boom! The lightning that filled the sky exploded with a loud bang, instantly stirring up a huge wave. Ling Xiao's palm seemed to contain an unparalleled power, causing the incomparably violent lightning energy to stop in an instant, and then completely disintegrate into ashes. Clang! The purple lightning dragon spear was hit by Ling Xiao's slap, bursting into blazing sparks. It began to tremble violently as if a thunder dragon was wailing from it. The purple lightning dragon spear instantly became incomparably dim, and then it was directly sent flying. What? Hua Dijie's face changed drastically, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. However, Ling Xiao's slap had already pressed down on him. Rumble. The huge slap landed on Hua Dijie's body, directly slapping him down from the void. Below him was the mountain where the heaven-sealing decimation formation was located. Even the 4 Chinese supreme elders were controlling the heaven-sealing decimation formation. Each of them looked indifferent, and their eyes were filled with coldness. However, the gigantic palm imprint covered the sky and covered the earth. The incomparably powerful seal the sky decimating earth grand formation was shattered one by one. The void distorted violently as the grand formation was shattered with a loud bang. The 4 supreme elders of the Hua clan were also exposed to Ling Xiao's palm. They didn't even have time to resist, and their eyes were still full of shock. Together with Hua Dijie, they were slapped into the ground by Ling Xiao's slap. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Everyone felt the earth quaking and the mountains shaking. The earth was trembling violently. That incomparably terrifying fluctuation made them feel a chill all over their bodies. In the void, Hua Dijie and the 4 grand elders of Hua clan had disappeared. Only Ling Xiao, in his snow-white robe, was standing in the void with Changsheng in his arms, looking indifferent and calm. When the divine light in the sky dissipated, Everyone saw that the huge mountain in front of them had been directly wiped out, and a huge five-fingered palm print appeared on the ground. Huadijia and the 4 Chinese supreme elders were lying in the palm print, spitting blood wildly. Their clothes were torn, their faces were extremely pale, and their eyes were full of disbelief and horror. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They were completely stunned. They felt like they were dreaming, and they couldn't believe everything in front of them. What did I see? King of Earth, Huadijia, and the 4 Chinese supreme elders were suppressed by that person with a single slap. That's impossible. I must be hallucinating. Someone muttered to himself, his eyes were dull, his mouth was wide open, and his whole body was trembling. How is this possible? How could the 5 peak holy kings be suppressed by a single slap? Someone replied mechanically. Everyone was shocked by the scene in front of them. There was a short silence between heaven and earth, and everyone was speechless. Brother, why didn't you tell me in advance that you were going to attack? Fortunately, I ran fast, or I would have been suppressed by you with a single slap. You're taking revenge on me. The white dragon horse came out of the void in a sorry state and looked at Ling Xiao with a bitter face. Ling Xiao's slap just now had confused everyone. Who would have thought that such a light slap could burst out such a terrifying power? Even the white dragon horse didn't expect that Ling Xiao's slap would include him. If it weren't for the collapse of the sky ceiling decimating earth formation and the white dragon horse directly using the great void teleportation technique to avoid Ling Xiao's slap, the white dragon horse would be lying next to Huadijia now. The white dragon horse suspected that Ling Xiao did it on purpose. Chapter 2759. The white dragon horse's words brought everyone back to their senses from their shock. At the sight of the miserable look of Huadijia and the 4 grand elders of Hua clan, everyone couldn't help but take in a deep breath. Their eyes were full of fear as they looked at Ling Xiao. How can this young man be so strong? He actually suppressed 5 peak saint kings with a single slap. Could he be a heavenly venerable? Someone whispered, his voice trembling. I was wondering why he looked so young. He must be an old monster from the immortal sacred land. He just has a technique to retain his youth and looks very young. The Chinese have really kicked an iron plate this time. I just don't know if this is an old monster from the War God Temple or the Taishengdao Palace. His strength is too terrifying. I'm afraid the Chinese are going to suffer a great loss this time. Everyone was discussing in low voices. They had looked down on Ling Xiao because he was very young. Moreover, the Chinese were infamous. They did not think that Ling Xiao would be a match for the Chinese. However, Ling Xiao's slap was like a slap to everyone's face, making everyone feel a burning sensation on their faces. Especially those who had mocked Ling Xiao before. They were so scared that their faces turned pale. They lowered their heads, afraid that Ling Xiao would settle the score with them later. However, whether it was the white dragon horse's resentful eyes or the reverence of everyone, Ling Xiao did not care about them. Ling Xiao's gaze was still on Changsheng, filled with gentleness and love. Daddy, you're so powerful. Changsheng said excitedly. His eyes were filled with reverence and worship. Although she was very ignorant, she saw Ling Xiao slap all those bad guys to the ground. Naturally, she understood that those bad guys were no match for Ling Xiao. Of course, your daddy is invincible. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Huadijia stood up from the palm print on the ground. His body was swaying, and his clothes were torn. His face was extremely pale, and his eyes were filled with shock. He was no longer as high-spirited as before, and his entire person looked incomparably wretched. He could not figure out why Ling Xiao was so strong. That palm was deeply imprinted in his mind, and he could not forget it. Damn it! Huadijia gritted his teeth and said, full of resentment, unwillingness, and shock. The Chinese? You're just so. Ling Xiao turned his head, looked at Huadijia, and smiled faintly. His voice was like a fierce slap on Huadijia's face, making Huadijia tremble with anger. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were full of incomparable resentment. Who are you? Hua Dijie stared at Ling Xiao. His heart seemed to have been set off by raging waves, and a deep fear towards Ling Xiao was born. Until now, he still couldn't see through Ling Xiao's cultivation. However, Ling Xiao had suppressed him and the 4 grand elders of the Chinese race with a single palm strike. Thinking of this, Hua Dijie's heart trembled. Even in the entire divine realm, a heavenly master could be regarded as an overlord. In the immortal Holy Lands, they were the ancestors who controlled the fate of the world. They would not appear in front of the world easily. Such a person had been cultivating in seclusion. It was very difficult for ordinary people to see him break through to the imperial emperor realm. But Ling Xiao looked so young. How could he be a heavenly master? I've said that I'm someone you can't afford to offend. You want to catch the white dragon horse as your mount? Have you asked for my permission? Ling Xiao said coldly, and a trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. Your Excellency, we don't want to be your enemy, but the Chinese are not easy to bully. You can take the white dragon horse away, but we will remember this. Seeing that Hua Dijie still wanted to say something, a Chinese grand elder hurriedly stopped him, and then took a deep look at Ling Xiao and said. The 4 grand elders of Hua clan were also extremely shocked. They knew that they might have kicked an iron plate this time. If they continued to stay, they would only suffer losses. It was better to retreat first and settle the score later. The 4 grand elders of Hua clan wanted to take Hua Dijie out of here directly. Did I allow you to leave? Ling Xiao said flatly. Hua Dijie and the 4 grand elders of Hua clan became stiff at once. What else do you want? Hua Dijie turned around and stared at Ling Xiao with a gloomy face. Aren't you Chinese always arrogant and overbearing? You want to catch the white dragon horse and speak rudely to me. Do you really think I have a good temper? Kneel down and slap your face. Ling Xiao said coldly, and his voice exploded in the void like thunder. He was exuding an irresistible majesty and momentum. Boom! Ling Xiao's words seemed to contain a vast power of heaven and earth, which directly suppressed Hua Dijie and the 4 Chinese grand elders. Hua Dijie and the other 4 all changed their faces. They felt that the surrounding void was suppressing them. They trembled all over and almost couldn't help but kneel down on the ground. Ah! Hua Dijie roared, and his eyes were full of humiliation. Although he and the 4 grand elders were seriously injured, if they directly knelt down because of Ling Xiao's words, it would not only be a disgrace to them, but also to the Chinese. Therefore, they activated all of their cultivation to resist the pressure and aura emitted by Ling Xiao. Bang! Ling Xiao took a step forward and stepped on the void. The surrounding void shook at the same time, and blazing divine light gushed out. The great Tao of heaven and earth seemed to gather on Ling Xiao's body in an instant. A vast power of heaven burst out and suppressed Hua Dijie and the 4 Chinese grand elders. Hua Dijie and the other 4 all felt that the pressure on their bodies was getting greater and greater, as if there were thousands of divine mountains pressing down on them, making their legs tremble. Don't go too far. Hua Dijie roared, and his voice was full of monstrous anger. If the 5 of them were in their heyday, with the cultivation of the 5 peak Saint Kings, it was naturally impossible for them to be overwhelmed by the power of Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao's palm seemed to be light, but it knocked them down from the clouds. Not only did it disperse their cultivation, but it also caused irreversible injuries to their bodies. Otherwise, with the cultivation of the peak Saint Kings, ordinary injuries would be healed in an instant. Their strength was less than 1/10 of it. How could they withstand such a terrifying pressure? Bang! 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 Ling Xiao was extremely calm. He held Changsheng in one hand, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His white clothes were whiter than snow, and he walked toward Hua Dijie and the others step by step. Chapter 2760. Every step Ling Xiao took seemed to be on the note of heaven and earth. With each step, the vast heavenly might on his body became more and more powerful. The surrounding people all felt a little frightened. A great force of heaven and earth rushed towards them, causing them to retreat quickly. From this, it can be seen how much pressure Hua Dijie and the others are under right now. Kneel down. Ling Xiao said calmly. Boom. Hua Dijie and the 4 great elders of the Chinese clan could no longer bear the terrifying heavenly might. Their legs made a crisp sound as they broke. The 5 of them knelt down towards Ling Xiao at the same time. Ling Xiao also walked in front of the 5 of them. He stood in the air and looked at the 5 of them with indifference. Ah! The Chinese will not let you go. All of you must die. Hua Dijie was about to go crazy. His eyes were full of hatred as he roared at Ling Xiao. He was one of the 3 kings of the Chinese clan. When had Hua Dijie, the Earth King, suffered such humiliation? Hua Dijie and the 4 great elders of the Chinese clan were forced to kneel down by Ling Xiao in front of everyone. This was tantamount to slapping the Chinese clan in the face. It was imaginable that the entire God realm would laugh at the Chinese clan because of what happened today. And all of this was caused by Ling Xiao. Hua Dijie hated Ling Xiao to the extreme. If his eyes could kill, Ling Xiao would have been killed 1,000 or even 10,000 times by now. Chinese clan. Guarding the glory of their ancestors, they do things like robbers and prostitutes and bully humans. Is this the so-called Emperor clan? If Emperor Tiandu knows that their descendants are all like this, I'm afraid he will kill all of you. The white dragon horse sneered. The Chinese clan had been targeting the war god temple for many years. Many disciples of the war god temple had died in the hands of the Chinese clan. Especially the 3 kings of the Chinese clan. They had made a name for themselves in the god realm. Their hands were stained with the blood of countless people. Many genius disciples of the war god temple were even killed by them. Ling Xiao, you must not let them go. Especially Hua Dijie. He killed countless disciples of the war god temple. Fengya died in his hands. Kill him and avenge Fengya. The white dragon horse transmitted its voice to Ling Xiao. Its voice was filled with hatred. What? Ling Xiao's entire body trembled, and his gaze instantly turned bone-chilling. Fengya, the girl from the wind spirit tribe, was quiet and elegant, like an orchid in an empty valley. She followed Ling Xiao and called him Big Brother Ling Xiao. Later on, she followed Ling Xiao into the war god temple. Fengya could be said to be the first friend Ling Xiao had made after entering the god realm. Now, the white dragon horse said that Fengya had died in Hua Dijie's hands. Ling Xiao's heart was instantly filled with a monstrous killing intent. Originally, he did not intend to kill these 5 people. He only wanted to punish them. At most, he would cripple their cultivation. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao decided that he must kill them all. Young master, you have humiliated our Chinese people like this. We will never forgive you. If you don't want to be the enemy of the whole world and be hunted down by the Chinese, you'd better let us go. Otherwise, nobody can save you. A Hua Grand Elder said in a cold voice. They were extremely humiliated, but now that they had fallen into Ling Xiao's hands, their lives were no longer in their own hands. They could only endure the humiliation and hope that Ling Xiao would be wary of the Chinese and let them go. Let you go. If I let you go, how can I face the innocent humans who died? If I let you go, how can I face the righteous path of the human race? Now that we are facing a great enemy, all the worlds in the universe have treated the God realm as a piece of juicy meat. As the human race, instead of thinking of uniting against the outside world, you actually dare to be insolent. Your hands are stained with the blood of countless humans. Therefore, all of you have to die today. Ling Xiao said coldly. His voice was like the thunder from the 9 heavens, rumbling in the void. Ling Xiao's words caused the surrounding crowd to be moved as well. Even those who were gloating and watching indifferently from the sidelines became extremely solemn as if they had thought of something. The human race was indeed surrounded by danger. Over the past 100 years, countless humans had died in the hands of the invading foreign races. However, the Chinese seemed to like being insolent. The so-called three kings of the Chinese race didn't kill many foreign races. On the contrary, many talents of the human race had died in their hands. Ling Zhao's words were completely correct. Although they were afraid of the ferocious reputation of the Chinese race, their blood seemed to have been stimulated at this moment. They looked at Hua Dijie and the other four with indifference and anger in their eyes. You dare to kill me? Hua Dijie stared at Ling Zhao in disbelief and said with his eyes full of disbelief. There's nothing in the world that I don't dare to do. The Chinese race has committed a heinous crime, and the five of you deserve to die. I sentence you to be destroyed. Ling Zhao said coldly, and then he punched at Hua Dijie and the other four. Rumble. Ling Zhao's fist emitted a dazzling light like the sun. At the same time, endless thunderbolts surged, containing the power of God's punishment. Instantly, the five Hua people were shrouded in it. Stop! At this moment, an incomparably old voice sounded, containing endless majesty and anger. Crack! The void was instantly torn apart, and an incomparably powerful figure walked out of the void. His entire body was shrouded in endless purple light as if there was a mysterious power of time flowing in it. It was an incomparably dignified old man. His face was rosy, and he wore a purple Taoist robe. His entire body was exuding a devouring aura. His entire body was emitting a vast pressure. As soon as he appeared in the void, he instantly slapped the air, trying to save Hua Dijie and the other four. Great-grandfather, save me! The moment Hua Dijie saw the purple-robed old man, his eyes were filled with incomparable surprise, and he hurriedly yelled. They had just secretly sent a voice transmission to summon the patriarch of the Chinese race. Finally, the patriarch of the Chinese race arrived. This is a heavenly master of the Chinese race? Someone exclaimed, his eyes full of awe. That mighty aura seemed to be able to suppress the world, and it contained an aura of supremacy. He was clearly a heavenly master. The heavenly master of the Chinese race had arrived. After all, Hua Dijie was one of the three kings of the Chinese race, and there were four supreme elders of the Chinese race here. The Chinese naturally wouldn't let them die in Ling Zhao's hands. How dare a mere clone be so presumptuous in front of me? Die! Ling Zhao said coldly. His punch didn't stop at all, and it continued to suppress Hua Dijie and the other four. At the same time, there seemed to be a dazzling immortal light erupting from between Ling Zhao's eyebrows, containing an aura that could destroy everything. In an instant, it bloomed between heaven and earth like a prison, directly imprisoning the purple-robed old man. In the immortal light that filled the sky, there seemed to be a sharp finger light that contained the power of time, destruction, creation, and destruction. It seemed to be able to shatter everything as it pierced between the purple-robed old man's eyebrows. Time Destruction Finger. Chapter 2761. Rumble. The purple-robed elder was instantly drowned by the endless immortal light. The age annihilation finger shattered everything and pierced the purple-robed elder's body, causing him to tremble violently and roar continuously. At this moment, under Ling Zhao's peerless fist print, Hua Dijie and the four supreme elders of the Hua clan showed an extremely desperate look in their eyes. In an instant, their bodies were shattered and turned into ashes. The five peak holy kings were killed by Ling Zhao with a single punch. Even the celestial master ancestor of the Hua clan could not save them. Bastard, how dare you! The purple-robed elder roared angrily. Although the terrifying light around him burst out, he finally broke the prison, dissolved the power of the age annihilation finger, and rushed out. However, his breath was in disorder. Obviously, he had suffered serious injuries. Hua Dijie and the other four supreme elders were killed by Ling Zhao right in front of him. The purple-robed elder's eyes instantly revealed monstrous anger. His expression was extremely gloomy as he stared at Ling Zhao with endless killing intent. Old thing, even if your original body is here, you dare not be presumptuous in front of me. You're just a clone. Do you really think you're something? Go to hell. Ling Zhao laughed coldly and threw another punch at the purple-robed old man. Crack. There was a blazing light blooming on Ling Xiao's fist print. It was vast and mighty, as if the mysterious scene of the birth and death of an era and the shattering of heaven and earth appeared. It was fierce and domineering, unparalleled. What? You actually. The purple-robed elder's expression changed drastically after seeing Ling Xiao's punch. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he roared wildly. However, before he could finish speaking, Ling Xiao's punch drowned him entirely. Boom! The blazing fist light rose as if endless reincarnation had emerged. This was the supreme power of the Age Fist. It blasted the purple-robed elder's body, instantly causing his body to shake violently. Then, his entire body exploded with a loud bang, turning into a rain of light. Even the celestial master ancestor of the Hua clan was killed by Ling Xiao's punch. That's the celestial master ancestor of the Hua clan. Even he couldn't block his punch. How is this possible? Someone exclaimed. His face was extremely pale and filled with disbelief. Didn't you hear him? That's just a clone of the Chinese celestial venerable ancestor, not his true body. Even if he's a celestial venerate's clone, his strength must be terrifying. He's far stronger than a peerless holy king, yet he couldn't block a single punch from that young man in white. Who is he? There's such a terrifying character, and it seems like he has a very close relationship with the War God Temple. It seems like the War God Temple is about to rise. How can it be so easy to rise up? This time, 5 great peak stage Saint Kings have died, and there's even a heavenly venerable ancestor's clone. The Hua clan will definitely not let this matter rest. I'm afraid that the immortal realm is going to be chaotic from now on. Everyone was discussing softly. They didn't even dare to look at Ling Xiao directly. They were filled with reverence. The few people who had spoken rudely to Ling Xiao earlier were so scared that they almost fainted. Father, I finally believe that you are invincible. Changxing suddenly kissed Ling Xiao's cheek. Her face was flushed red as she said with some embarrassment and admiration. Being kissed by Changxing, Ling Xiao was stunned. He immediately felt sweetness in his heart. He was happier than anything else. Changxing, so you didn't believe me before? Ling Xiao teased Changxing with a smile. That's not it, father. Changxing has never seen father before, but mother told me that father is the most powerful person in the world. You're a first-class hero. Changxing giggled. Your mother is right. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He liked being with Changxing very much. It was as if it could make him forget everything. His heart was filled and peaceful. This was his precious daughter, the most adorable little princess. Ling Xiao couldn't wait to give her the best things in the world. However, at this time, there was still a tactless guy who interrupted the conversation between the father and daughter. I haven't seen you for 200 years, and your strength is so terrifying. Even the clone of a heavenly venerate was killed by you with one punch. You can't have broken through to the heavenly venerate realm, right? The white dragon horse ran in front of Ling Xiao. It stared at Ling Xiao as if it had seen a ghost. Its eyes were filled with disbelief. The white dragon horse and Pangu's heavenly dipper could become divine kings so quickly because they had obtained great opportunities and were fully nurtured by the War God Temple. However, Ling Xiao had drifted for 200 years and wasn't in the realm of the gods at all. His strength had become so terrifying. It shocked and hurt him. Uncle White Dragon Horse, my father is the most powerful person in the world. Changxing hugged Ling Xiao's neck and said proudly. Her big eyes were filled with excitement and excitement. Changxing, you heartless person. If I hadn't protected you, would you have been able to escape from the Taisheng Palace? I'm afraid you would have been captured by the Taisheng Palace. Now that you've seen your father, you've forgotten about me. I'm so hurt. The white dragon horse pretended to be hurt. Escaped from the Taisheng Palace? What's going on? Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. He heard a crucial sentence from the white dragon horse's words. What the white dragon horse meant was that the Taisheng Palace wanted to kill his Changxing. Who would be so bold to target Changsheng? Ling Xiao, something happened to Jin Sei. The white dragon horse's face immediately turned serious. It looked at Changsheng as if it wanted to say something. Then, it whispered to Ling Xiao through voice transmission. Jin Sei, what happened to Jin Sei? Ling Xiao's heart pounded violently as he stared at the white dragon horse. Ling Xiao, you might not know. In the 200 years that you weren't in the realm of the gods, the war god temple had been struggling. They were targeted by the immortal sacred grounds and the various emperor clans. They even thought that the wordless heavenly book was in the war god temple and sent spies to infiltrate the war god temple many times. Even the Taishang Palace, the ally of the war god temple, was targeted and suppressed by them. Countless talented disciples were killed, and even the elders in the sect suffered heavy casualties. The Taishang Palace couldn't take the pressure and was divided into two factions. One faction wanted to ally with the war god temple and would rather die than submit. They wanted to fight the other immortal sacred grounds to the end. The other faction wanted to draw a clear line with the war god temple and reconcile with the other immortal sacred grounds. The white dragon horse explained slowly. Get to the point. Ling Xiao frowned and glared at the white dragon horse. The white dragon horse smiled bitterly and continued, after your identity was exposed, the Taishang Palace naturally found out about your relationship with Jin Sei. Forces like the Heavenly Curse Sect, the Five Elements Saint Sect, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate, the 9 Imperial Gates, and the Chinese told the Taishang Palace that if they didn't want them to target the Taishang Palace, they had to hand Jin Sei over to them. Because of this request, the Taishang Palace naturally had an intense debate. However, the peacemakers gradually gained the upper hand in the Taishang Palace. 4 years ago, Jin Sei, who was pregnant for 100 years, gave birth to Changsheng. The peacemakers started plotting against Jin Sei. A few months ago, Jin Sei sensed that something was amiss and sent me a telepathic message. She asked me to go to the Taishang Palace and handed Changsheng over to me. However, Jin Sei was quickly imprisoned by the Taishang Palace. However, the peacemakers in the Taishang Palace were a bunch of bastards. They wanted to kill me and Changsheng. Fortunately, I escaped quickly and took Changsheng away from the Taishang Palace. That's how things ended up like this. The white dragon horse chattered incessantly. It was filled with resentment towards the Taishang Palace. However, in the end, it explained everything clearly. Jin Sei was imprisoned by them. The Taishang Palace, it seems like some people are tired of living. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed coldly, revealing a monstrous murderous intent. P.S. The 5th update has ended. Everyone, rest early.